waffles, bacon, bacon, bacon,
biscuit,
bacon, 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 bacon. Diddly, 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 diddly.
There's only one thing that smells like bacon, and that's bacon.
Good day.
I just want to point out that when we faded in, that's all people heard. Like, they heard bacon, 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 bacon. Oh, by the way, bacon, 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 bacon. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
This is
Guys.
what happens when I only have one meal in the day. And
Is that one meal bacon?
no, sadly it was not. But
It sounds like
well
a failed.
with bacon.
It sounds like a failed dinner.
Maybe it's dinner, maybe it's breakfast. Honestly, hun,
Maybe
I have
it's
been at
Maybelline?
such an odd hours recently. No, time is a random existential nightmare that we all can't escape, and it means nothing.
If there's one more pun in the next 5 minutes, I'm leaving. Look at Elijah's like, I can do that.
Oh,
So everybody, welcome to Hippo's last stream.
oh my gosh.
This is my first day on Twitch,
Oh my god.
and
Ladies and,
apparently last.
oh my god. Seriously. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Newbcast Podcast for the 10th of February, 2019. Apparently we're talking about bacon today.
This just happened like 5 seconds before you unmuted. I don't even know. I don't even know where bacon came from.
Bacon is an important cultural element of gaming in general. I'll make the argument. I'm not sure it's
Bacon.
real at all.
Ah, yes, the bacon and Mountain Dew.
It's like demons and bacon and something. There seriously is one. It's always is there whenever Steam has a sale. It's just like, I'm here. I don't know why I'm here, but I exist. Someone programmed me, published me, paid the money.
Yeah. Well, and you've got the what was it? I'm not sure if it even exists, but there was this thing called like gamer fuel at one point,
It's
and
called
I'm pretty sure that one of them was bacon flavored. I'm like 98% certain.
I know there's
Ugh.
still G Fuel now. I mean, and everyone's like, God, there's so many different ways that people are like, yeah, you should take Game Fuel by like putting a pouch in your lip or whatever. It's like, it's a mix. It's a mix. You're supposed to mix it and drink it, but Gamer Fuel is still a thing. It's called G Fuel now, and it's a big thing on Twitch. That's
But
it.
it helps you feel the bait. It helps you feel the beat. It's a mixtape. I know that one was bad even for me. I'm sorry.
So
Lastly, moving
Yeah.
on.
Wow.
Moving on.
Wow.
Elijah, you're making Hippo leave. No, why?
Why did you do
Why
that?
did
Right
you
now.
do this?
Why? Why did you do that?
Why?
Why?
There's always a challenge. There's always a thing that I have to answer.
I said in the next 5 minutes.
And you were so
You
good
couldn't
at
do
being
it.
quiet for 30 seconds. It was amazing.
Right? It
Like,
wasn't
you
even like
just
a
held
full
out.
2 minutes.
Because you knew for one, if you had your mouth open for a few seconds, 3 seconds, that would be all it would take for you to go out there and ruin the rest of Hippo's Twitch career.
I'm done. This is it. This is my last day. I'm leaving. I'm leaving Twitch for good. I'm gonna deactivate my account.
I do.
I'm going to YouTube.
Our viewers, I'm basically tired drunk right now. It's just I have had such an utterly fucked sleep schedule. So I'm
Tired.
sorry.
Hi, I woke up at 4 p.m.
Three.
That sounds great.
To put that in perspective
it was
for you, though,
awesome.
that was an hour ago, guys. That was a little over an hour ago. Just to put that in
Yep.
perspective, West
An hour and
Coast.
17 minutes ago.
Yeah.
You were counting the minutes and ready to go back
my.
to sleep immediately afterwards.
Yes, I'm like, I haven't worn a watch since like 2010, but you know.
Oh, that's sad. Watches are fun. And are handy for
Michelle, please put us on a rail. We are going off the rails. We weren't even on the rails to begin with. We were already like in the bushes on the side of the rails.
How many different
I
voices
know.
were in
I
binary?
was, you know what? I was incredibly entertained by this, and I always have this awkward moment, like, how do I start the show? This is the perfect way to start the show. Guys, welcome to the Newbcast Podcast. Tonight on the show, we are going to talk some gaming stuff, gaming news, gaming topics.
Eventually.
Gaming,
Hello,
Eventually.
and bacon,
gamers.
and bacon,
And bacon.
and bacon.
And bacon. Most definitely.
We'll start things off by going around and welcoming people to the show and finding out what they've been playing. With that said, Hippo, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been a little while. I've missed you guys very much.
We've missed you too.
As for what I've been playing, so many things.
Sit on back, guys. We got a tale.
We got like Anno 1800, fantastic. Destiny 2 beta. So it's okay. It's pretty good. Pretty good. All right.
What?
He left. He was like, you know what? No, I'm the one that's done.
You're saying good things about Destiny? No, I'm out of this.
No, not Destiny. Not
Destiny.
The Division
beta.
2.
Oh, sorry.
Beta.
Okay, yeah, I thought I heard Destiny. Okay, Division 2.
So the Division
that
2,
makes sense.
Okay.
Foundation was a freaking fantastic game. Astroneer launched last week. Gosh, Elite Dangerous, like heckin' lot of Elite Dangerous. Oh, welcome back. Are you okay, Elijah?
No, I'm really not. I had to just run and make sure the sink was dripping. I have had to spend so many nights making sure the sink is dripping. Continue, please.
Okay.
I
don't know what's going on, but I heard the snake was dripping. I had to make sure the snake was dripping. I don't know what.
The sink.
The sink. Why do you need to make sure this? You know what? It's fine.
So actually, this is relevant for you to know, Hippo.
Problems.
Yeah.
When you are in incredibly cold places, if your water is not running, it will freeze.
Okay, that's good to know. See, I live in Southern California where it's, the sun degrees here.
The sun degrees. You know what the funny thing is we did hear sink at first, and all I could think was that everyone that's watching the stream can absolutely see what I just did. So
I just thought, I thought you just didn't want to hear about the Division 2 beta, and you were like, I'm out.
Yeah.
I mean, no. I mean, if your snake is not appropriately dripping, check your snake. Make sure your snake is dripping.
I 100% agree. Your snake should always be dripping.
Especially when it's cold.
And the channel's banned. Great.
Definitely.
That's fucking awesome.
And I don't even have to quit. I was banned. But yeah, so I played some Foundation, Anno 1800 for like a whole one day, and then the beta was over. I played about a whole 2 hours of the Division 2 beta, which is pretty good. It needs some optimization. It's just like the original in that it takes all of your resources for your computer to run it, but it's good. I have a pretty good computer, and that CPU usage though. Gosh, what else? I'm pretty sure that's like the majority.
Okay.
I've spent a lot of time in Elite Dangerous recently, so.
You too, huh?
Just out of curiosity, what would you say were any major improvements with the Division 2? Because I've always heard that there was a cult following to the first one, so I'm wondering what changes they made for the sequel.
Yeah, so I actually didn't get into the Division 2 or the Division 1, like the very first one, until like December of last year. Not like the December of like 2016 or into 17. I don't know. When it was not bad, when everybody was done with like just being angry at them.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I thought you were talking about playing the original Division after they had fixed it, and it was actually a decent game after they had fixed the issues that people had talked about.
I had never played the things that people were talking about. Like I got into it like a year and a half late or something like that. So I actually enjoyed the heck out of it. I enjoyed the snow as a Southern Californian. I was like, what is this white powder? Is this cocaine? I mean, never mind. It's all over the place. This is great.
You would just go.
You're not wrong.
You would go nuts if you were here then. You would go nuts if you were here. Like, we just got another like 3 inches today.
Oh wow. I enjoyed it. And then, so the new one, I haven't played too much of it because I was trying to play with Love Lust, because she got me into the beta. and it's quality of life stuff, just little things, except for I don't know if I'm doing it wrong because I'm like very much brand new to the game, but it doesn't seem to where you can like quick equip things. You just kind of have to like, something I don't like about console / PC ports is the necessary, like, or it's not necessary, it's the unnecessary button hold to pick stuff up. I really hate that. But I guess that's like a personal issue, but
believe it or not, I've actually found a solution to that. Can you guess
play
what it
with
is?
the controller?
No, setting your use key to the right mouse button. I'm serious. I've been doing it for the past few games I've been playing, and it's been
You
marvelous.
can't do that in a shooter. Right mouse button is to aim, dude.
Yeah, yes, you can.
I do have a very nice mouse, though. I could probably do something with it. But
That would
yeah.
make sense. Yeah.
It's even worked well for Resident Evil 2 Remake.
Anyway, so there's some improvements. The graphics definitely eat up a lot of CPU. I have a Coffee Lake 8700, and it takes a lot. I don't think I'd be streaming this game. Even if I could stream this game, I probably wouldn't. But it's a fun game. I like the original, and it feels like they just took the first one and brought it to a different area. Better graphics. The textures are really nice. The whole surrounding, there's no snow anymore. I was kind of hurt because I live in a place where it doesn't snow. But it's pretty nice so far. I definitely recommend it if you can get into the beta. Check it out if you like the first one after all of the improvements.
Okay. I mean, I'm a little curious, just to see how it works out and whatnot. But if it's that taxing, I hope to see it optimized a little bit better than you're describing. Because I mean, I've got the same thing. I got a Coffee Lake. Well, I think we have the same processor now that you mention it.
I don't have the K version, which the only difference is that you can't overclock it. That's it.
I gotta double check what I have then. But that doesn't change the fact that, that's a pretty powerful processor, and if you're maxing out your CPU, like, shouldn't it utilize some of your GPU capabilities?
I didn't even check the GPU because I have a GTX 980 Ti, and that usually takes care of pretty much everything.
Yeah. Well, believe me, I understand. 1080 Ti, I get it. So
yeah, so you're... I'll trade you. So let's continue talking about these games. Astroneer, fantastic game, poorly optimized still. I played Astroneer way back in 2016. In December of 2016, I had a whole 40 followers and didn't know what the hell I was doing on Twitch. I'm kidding. This is my first day on Twitch. Anyway, I played it then, and it definitely had issues. It was choppy. There's LOD issues, all kinds of stuff. And at launch, it still had the exact same issues, unfortunately. It is definitely better after a patch, but it still has issues when you have multiplayer. Like if you have another person in your game, it definitely is a little choppier. For the most part, it's buttery smooth if you want to play it single player, which is totally an option. But it's a great game. I love it very much. If you're into space survival crafting games, that's a game for you. You can go exploring different planets and stuff. And it's also adorable as heck, so definitely check that out. And then Foundation. Foundation is a game that came out in early access. It is a medieval city builder.
Okay.
Where you don't actually, it's sort of like Banished, but not. There's like a chain of supplies that you have to set up, and it's very nice. The models are cool, except for the character models. Their eyes are like wide. They have no eyelids. Unlike this eye right now, I'm suffering from major allergy attacks, so it's like super swollen and itchy. Their eyes are like boom, like that big. And they, like I said, they don't have a lid, so they're kind of just in that like terrible 1,000-yard stare all the time. It definitely needs work. I mean, there's UI aspects of the game that is literally just like hashtag walls underscore not underscore unlocked. Like things like that, you know, but those are all going to be fixed eventually.
Sure.
There's very little tutorial, so good luck. It's going to take some time to figure it out if you pick it up.
See, but the whole like no tutorial things, that works for other games and other genres. I mean, look at like Warframe or something.
I think it doesn't have a tutorial just because it's super early access, but it's fun.
Fair.
It's fun. I have like probably 14 hours in the game,
Okay.
and a majority of that was streamed. So I definitely suggest, if you're looking for a game like that and you are okay with early access, that's a game that you can check out.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
What else? Anything else or?
Elite Dangerous. Just buy it. It's good.
It's on sale again too, isn't it? Like at the time of recording, I'm pretty sure it's on sale again. For, like,
it's been on sale for like 3 times in the past week and a half. So
yeah, I think it was for
if you
the
like
Lunar
simulation games. Let's see, Elite. Yeah, it's on sale for $7.19 US on Steam.
There you go. And I mean, that's half the show, half this crew will endorse that completely. So, right on. Well, Hippo, welcome. Glad to have you back.
Thank you. Me, it's good to be back.
Yes. Elijah, welcome. Thanks for showing up on short notice.
I hope that my presence has been subtle and has gone relatively unnoticed. No disruptions. I mean, I don't want to cause fuss.
You guys should have seen the pre-show.
I'm very low key.
If you guys could have seen the pre-show, like, I kid you not, I was half tempted to start recording that just to put together like a compilation later.
I almost feel like it needs to be. It just needs to be like the pre like just sound check and everything should definitely be recorded.
Yeah. That might start happening. You never know. That just might be a thing, because we had Robot Elijah, which was great, and then we had snake dripping Elijah, and then we had
you know, just, you gotta make sure your snake is dripping, especially at night. You want it dripping for the night.
Dear. Elijah, welcome to the show. What have you been so
before I get us banned from Twitch,
right? I know this sounds horrible because it immediately follows what was said, but what have you been playing?
I'm leaving.
What have I been playing with? That's a
probably your PlayStation. Wait, your Vita, is it?
Yes, my PlayStation Vita, also known as my PlayStation Frida, which conveniently has been homebrewed, so as a result, I can actually play friggin' Vita games on it. Because seriously, when you don't realize just how much Sony blocked their first-party lineup downloading all of the demos, and they're like, that's not going to run on there, that's not going to run on there, that's not going to run on there, that's not going to run. It's like, what fucking does?
I think that's part of the problem with it in the first place.
I've been able to do Resistance Burning Skies fine. So it's like, really the reason a lot of them are blocked is because they added too many gimmicks, because Sony required so many gimmicks be jammed into all of their games. So like, Venturi Golden Abyss, the balancing bits are a pain in the arse, but otherwise, you're fine. It's actually completely playable, and most of the other ones, because they have this simulated thing where you press down on your right or left stick, and simulates the front and back touchscreens. So for most games, it works fine. I'm really wondering how Tearaway works, because it even incorporates the camera. It probably just kind of shrugs. But either way, it's just sort of like, I'm excited because once I get it and Adrenaline cooperating properly, I'll be able to do all sorts of Sony coverage, which will be awesome. I just need to do a few quick things, so that's been fun. I've played a fair bit of R2 Make, and what I can say is that police station is amazing. And fuck the chess piece puzzle that follows. I've reached this part in the game where it's like, it feels like we could have reached a conclusion before this. I know that they're following this plot of the original game, but it's like, your design feels like it wasn't really accounting for this. It feels like you kind of were required to do this part. So it's like, I mean, it's even a smaller space than the police station, but the police station is just so well designed that anything else following up is immediately a buzzkill. So that's been a thing. I recently streamed the entirety of Sega's Iron Man, the video game, the PC version, which coincidentally is actually the Wii version ported to PC, not the PS3 360 version. No, that's a completely separate game. We finished it in like 3 hours. There were tons of audio issues, and it was one of the worst games I've played this year. Just saying something. It was amazing. I mean,
it's only the second month of the year.
That's what I was just thinking too.
I know, and it's a year where I played Arkham Origins Blackgate. So it's been an interesting thing. I recently actually showed a friend some Battleborn because that's on sale. You should try it. It's good for an impulse buy. Believe me.
Wait, Battleborn's still a thing?
It's good.
It's still a thing?
Yeah, it is. It is still a thing.
What?
It is still a thing, and it's plenty of fun soloing or cooperative, and there's bot support for PvP, which a lot of games don't have.
Well, so, I mean, they kind of have to, because Battleborn came out, like, didn't it come out, like, right around the same time as another game, and it kind of was, people were like, it's just a save game, ugh! And then it kind of died.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's an accurate portrayal.
Did it come out? I don't remember.
Overwatch.
I mean, that's all gamers, right? Ugh!
It came out.
You're not wrong there, but the thing.
Yeah, right.
Just one thing that I love about the bot. I know this is going to sound very developer talk, but the brilliant thing about the bots is they didn't base the AI strategy off of just generic play. They actually observed their best beta testers, and it had the bots exhibit their behaviors. So as a result, I played the bot matches. They can actually come close. The bots actually put out an effort. So it's like, seriously, it's $7.50. I advocate you play it. It's really fun. There's a free trial with a dojo mode that you can try. And just, it's a fun time.
Elijah, yes, sponsored by Battleborn.
Hey, right. I am perfectly happy with Gearbox bullshit while acknowledging that Battleborn team, I feel so bad for them. They got really
they got shafted.
Yeah,
they definitely did.
Absolutely. I won't argue that at all.
So it's like, there's a lot of things that make me want to root for it, just like with the Bureau or anything else. But besides that, anything else? Even at this very moment, I've really been trying Zombie Army Trilogy. It's a really good game to turn your brain off to.
I have to Google everything he's talking about. What was it called? Zombie what?
Zombie Army Trilogy by Rebellion. It's a spin-off of the Sniper Elite games, and it's probably the best Sniper Elite game because there's actually a reason to use all the ideas in the Sniper Elite games.
Oh, I remember this.
I did actually see this.
Yes.
Somebody was playing.
I highly recommend it. It actually, believe it or not, it has full male, female representation. The women actually look really badass and like real soldiers. They all have backstories. On PC, you get all of the cast of Left 4 Dead as well as playable character skins. You get all of the campaigns bundled together, remastered with all the improved gameplay mechanics in one package. There's no requirement to have to complete everything to get to anything. Everything is unlocked by default. There's no stupid progression system. You get all of your weapons from the get-go. The Horde mode is fantastic, and every Horde map is unique. My favorite being Flood of Tears, which is what I'm actually on right now. And, oh my gosh, even on console, the auto-aim is actually pretty smooth, but I love doing it on PC because you can genuinely just kind of, you get a feel for the ballistics. It's such a frigging good experience, which I know there's somebody probably, watching this going, you just said you played Resident Evil Remake 2, and yet you're going on about Zombie Army Trilogy. But the thing is, Remake 2 I have more complicated thoughts about. I actually don't think it's as scary as everybody's making it out to be, or as hard. I beat Sherry, I don't want to say it. The first boss encounter you have in the game, I cleared without taking a single hit. Mr. X is exceptionally easy to get around. Like, if you've played any survival horror game in like the past 5 years, it's not that groundbreakingly different an experience. It's a good experience. Don't get me wrong, it's scratching that itch very well. I love the choices and the gameplay decisions, but calling it scary, I'd say there's like maybe 30 seconds of it actually getting me a jump, and those are just from well-executed jump scares.
Well,
the vast majority of the time, it just is kind of like, this is fun, but you're not scaring me.
So, a couple things about that though. Like overall, I don't think I would ever have called like the original Resident Evils scary per se. They have the moments that will scare you, right? Like
have you
they'll
seen
cause
what
jump
people
scares.
are saying online though? Have you seen the memes and everything? Everybody's acting like it's the most harrowing game of the century, and it's like,
I mean, I would say it was probably pretty scary when you were 14, 15 when it came out and you played it.
Yes.
When you hadn't really seen anything quite like it. Yeah, I get that. 2019? No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like the first encounter with the liquor back in 1997, yeah, that was fucking scary. Now, not as much.
Hilarious. Actually,
But
but we hadn't seen much like that before.
Yeah, exactly.
In that time.
So the idea that
I
it's
understand there's a nostalgia factor, but just it's like, I think we're making it overblown. I think like we need to acknowledge it's a really good game, but that's all it is. It's a really good game. It's not a thing, because I see these really hardcore Resident Evil fans acting like as if, see, we were right all along, and it's like, yeah, I enjoyed this about as much as I did Resident Evil 6. I enjoyed both styles equally. Chill the fuck out. Let people like things. You enjoy.
Yeah.
Well, that's the internet in general. The internet can't let people like stuff that they don't like.
Yep.
If you like something that I don't like, what the are you doing?
Yeah.
How dare you like things that I don't like? You must have terrible taste in things.
Yeah. I mean, as far as some of the innovation, I think as far as what they could do with innovation, they were limited in the way that they were also trying to be truthful to the source material, which is the original Resident Evil 2. So they kind of got, kneecapped right there. So
Oh yeah, no question. And I will say that they do capture some old school sensibilities better. The inventory management, I like that. And there are some clever decisions that I just want to say really quick. If you're a developer and you're listening, please take note. The map lets you know if you've looted a room. If it's empty, it's marked blue.
Yes.
That is so nice. Key items will indicate when they're no longer useful so that you can toss them.
Yes.
That is really nice. And I love that you can actually use the items for multiple things. That's fantastic. There's this, I don't want to spoil what you use it for, but there's a particular item that actually solves 2 different puzzles based on examining it and activating something. That is brilliant. In some ways, it's actually one of the better adventure games to come out in a while.
Sure. That's fair.
But just in terms of sheer fun factor, in terms of what I immediately can just go yammering on for ages about, honestly, Zombie Army Trilogy has been really good for me. I love playing as this really grumpy, badass Russian woman with a sniper rifle tearing up hordes of zombies, and there's tons of enemy variety. There's Death Knights, zombie snipers.
In Soviet Russia, zombie shoots you.
I will do that at the start. There's not a lot of story, but they added more.
Hippo looks like he's in pain.
I'm leaving. I told you I'm leaving.
Fair enough. Any other fun, exciting games, Mr. Unabridged?
Well, I continued dungeon mastering, so that's the thing.
Yeah.
So that's always fun. And as always, I am vexed by players.
Elijah, since you were talking about homebrew, did you guys hear about the Switch homebrew that allows you to play Breath of the Wild at like a really high, insanely high FPS?
I have not heard of this.
I know that the Steam emulator on PC has got the game running at 4K. That's not on Switch. That's the Wii U version.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I heard about that.
Let me explain. So Simu is actually a very dicey thing for the emulation community because like they've done amazing work, but they're closed source and people aren't entirely sure if they're using any proprietary information or software from Nintendo to achieve such rapid emulation because like Nintendo emulation tends to happen pretty fast because there's just that much interest, but they are moving at a marked speed. They are blazing past the PS3 and 360 emulators, which are of comparable scale. And yeah, Breath of the Wild is the point that it has mod support on PC through Cemu. You can load JC from GTA and all sorts of things. There's even someone who's actually made a very comprehensive mod, I believe it was for his daughter, that turns Zelda into the protagonist, and even from my understanding goes through all of the different pronouns and everything and adjusts it so that it acknowledges you as Zelda. Like
that's pretty cool.
That's amazing.
And incorporating all the animations and items so that you can play as Zelda. So it's like it's a really neat thing, but I'm really hoping that Cemu doesn't end up getting a cease and desist situation because that would really suck. But it is amazing, and yes, they've got it running at 4K. They've got it running it at ludicrous FPS. It's a really neat thing. I'm very excited to see what else comes from it, and I'm trying to think what else I have played that the warrants really being discussed. What?
Have you done it in Linkle mode?
Lingle?
Link L-I.
Oh.
Yeah.
I haven't actually tried that Cemu yet. I'm very curious too.
Okay.
Oh, there is one more thing worth mentioning.
Okay.
It's one that I haven't gotten to talk about yet, and I need to dive in more, but I pretty much know the developers do great work. I'm already impressed about an hour in. Omen Sight. It's by the same people who made Story Path of Destiny. And basically combined Groundhog Day, a little bit of Fern Gully, a little bit Secret of Nim, a murder mystery, and just kind of a bit of Dragon Age.
You know, I have a Ninja blender in the kitchen that I think we can use to put that all together.
Because it's just, I mean, seriously, it is. Look
Not
it up.
sponsored.
And it is beautiful. It's got some of the best voice acting. Coincidentally, it has some actors from Breath of the Wild.
It is really pretty. I like the artwork.
Oh, it's gorgeous art. It's fantastic design. They polished up the gameplay a lot because that was the issue with Stories was it got very repetitive because basically each of these games is about making choices and reliving events to unlock new secrets so that you can finally save the world. In the first one, it had like close to 40 different endings, but a lot of them came down to do the same thing you did earlier, but with one difference. They tried to give you so much potential that 100% again just drove you nuts. You didn't
kind of
have
like
to
Red Dead Redemption
learn everything, but it was a bit much. This one, from what I understand, they've improved that and made it so it's not nearly as much the case. It's a lot more streamlined. There's a lot of things to make it more engaging. And in general, the combat is less frustrating because there aren't the annoying enemy types from Stories. Because towards the end of the game, there were some annoying enemy types. But just Spearhead do great work. It's relentlessly charming. I've contemplated streaming it and just starting over on stream because it's just like, it's a really well-told story. And for those of you who love Knights of the Old Republic 2, the lead writer for that was involved with this, Chris Avallone. He was one of the writers for this project as well.
Okay.
It just, all the nines, perfect lock there. So, like, I need to see more before I can give, like, a final scoring or anything, but I already have a really, really good feeling. You want this one, and it's actually on sale during the Steam sale right now.
Oh, there you go. Very nice. Well, with all that said, welcome. Yeah, welcome.
Hi.
Dizza, what's going on?
Hey, I will say my list is decidedly not as long.
Well, that's good. First off, welcome. And what have you been playing?
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit. Of course, on stream, I've been playing Final Fantasy VIII. We've been doing that for a while. That's been an enjoyable time.
Our conversation the other night was entertaining as heck. I got to tell you, that was we were sitting here watching your stream, going, "God, those are good questions. Who who would fit that bill?
Yeah, we might have been talking about shipping and
Oh, I missed a shipping conversation.
yeah. You have to have that with every game, especially after Persona, where like you can ship with everybody you don't want to ship with. Still, super upset I cannot spend some time with Yusuke. I'm just saying.
Fair.
But definitely need to talk about the appropriate and inappropriate shipping. I mean, in our game, we named Renoa Damsel because she literally is the damsel in distress. There's no remorse, no exception to that in pretty much anything she ever does.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all collectively upset. So talked about some opportunities there.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's see. What else? Oh, I did happen to get myself onto a DDR machine for the first time in years.
Oh my god. You must be so sore.
So, I was surprised that I could keep up with it for about 3 minutes, and then after I hit like minute 3, my body was just wondering what I have done for the past, like 4 or 5 years. Like
that's how I felt when I played fitness boxing on the Switch.
Oh, I bet.
For the next 2 days, I'm like, I can't move. Oh, I have to get out of my chair, but I can't move.
What really hit me was
you have to play Rise of Nightmares at this point.
Feels
then
old,
we'll
man.
see you
Feels old, man.
I remember playing that game and playing some of the most difficult songs during its time when, I was in high school. And I tried to play some of the stuff that was like 2 steps down from that, and I could barely do it. And then immediately after going on, nearly fainting, needing to get like 2 giant glasses of water in order to survive, I see somebody else go on and play something I have never seen at like 7 times the difficulty. I don't know how on earth humans can even pull this stuff off anymore, and I just kind of threw my hands up in disappointment of how I've spent my years. Really, I should have been spending my time learning how to do that. But my future as a Dance Dance Revolution master has eluded me.
That is an absolute crying shame, but I'm sure revisiting DDR has been nostalgic, maybe? Is that
super nostalgic.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I've looked at a DDR, I'm like, yeah, that would be fun. Nope. I'll break myself. I know I would.
Paranoia was amazing. And they have like 40,000 versions of Paranoia in the latest version of Dance Dance Revolution. So that was kind of neat to see.
Oh, see, no DDR would be complete without having some like a Yumi Hamasaki or something.
Mm. Oh my gosh.
Bless you.
Yeah, I'm gonna just nod and pretend I know who that is.
You are such a young thing. Wow, Hippo. Wow.
That's not a young thing. That's just my musical tastes are. I had a very unique musical upbringing.
You've had a very unique everything upbringing, it would appear, from the games, the music, the movies. So that seems fair.
It's just going to come naturally to you. Speaking of things that typically get defined as weeb, Kingdom Hearts 3 released. If you weren't playing Resident Evil 2 remake, and that was
everyone played Kingdom Hearts 3, and they still are. It's still going.
Really?
Yeah,
everyone on Twitch. There was literally no one playing anything but Kingdom Hearts. I know this because I looked for people to watch, and everyone was playing Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah. I refuse to stream it, if that makes you feel better, Hippo. I refuse to stream it.
Look, some things are better left not streamed.
Yeah.
Unstreamed?
Not
Words
streamed.
are hard.
Yes, they are. Agreed.
I'm going to say unstreamed because I'm pretty sure that's wrong. And so I'm going to say it.
Other thing you should not stream is your snake dripping.
I'm glad you took that off camera.
No,
I'm glad
not
you
on
took
this
that off
site.
camera, Alicia.
Yep. So, Kingdom Hearts 3, which part, how far into the game are you then?
I've actually completed the game. We're working on the secret ending.
Okay.
Oh yeah. A lot of time got spent into it. A lot of evenings.
So I guess I have to ask the question, since it's been brought up in other shows and other conversations I've had with other people. Does the end of the game redeem like a good chunk of the mid game for you?
Wow. That's that doesn't sound optimistic.
So, spoiler alert times 14,000. This is not the end.
Really?
It is the one
Well, I
that
guess
goes
I don't have
on
to
and
buy
on,
the
my
game
friend.
now.
This is not the end. They have some DLC content, and I'm wondering if they're going to wrap up the single big gaping plot hole in the DLC. And it is a giant plot hole. They introduce it, they give you little hints and pieces throughout the entire game, and never conclude it. Which is so frustrating when you're looking for a game that is purposely designed to conclude so many different things.
Mm-hmm.
So, major plot point that's mentioned early in the game falls down on the wayside. We know that there's going to be something else that's going on with it. Is that a sequel or is that the DLC? Do not know. On the other side of things, major thing happens that nobody reasonably would expect going in.
Mm-hmm.
And that also is an opening for another game. 100%.
Interesting.
Can I ask just one question?
Yes.
Is there any sort of Star Wars reference in this one?
No. No, there really isn't. And that's... Yeah. I mean, there's this thing about Disney and EA having an agreement, and I think that because of that, Square probably can't get any touch on any of that, even though Leia is one of the most amazing Disney princesses.
I'm thinking this would be the perfect... I mean, it's even a Kingdom Hearts game with third-person shooting type action moments, so, like...
I know you want a Star Wars game. This is not your Star Wars game.
I'm just thinking...
That game was canceled.
You got me to just get me into Kingdom Hearts. I'm saying just give me easiest in. Come on.
Don't worry.
Disney.
Disney's okay with that too, so don't worry about that. Yeah.
I will say, as a game, it is certainly enjoyable. I think it is good to experience as a personal experience. I don't like it as a streaming game. I think there's a lot of time that's spent just sitting around mashing the X button that isn't interesting, so I could never see that anyways. But they also have this giant disclaimer when you first go in. Before you stream, press the triangle button. You better not be making money off of this stream. How dare you? Which a ton of people are violating, and I wonder what's going to happen. We'll see.
Interesting.
We will see. Because,
wait, how do they define that?
Yeah.
Well, right. So the question is, like, are you making money specifically because you are playing this game versus something else? How do you quantify that?
Yeah.
If you're getting cheer, does that count? Because people are just donating to you directly versus donating to something relative to the game. And if that's the case, how do you even define that to begin with? Because there's no way that somebody's going to be like, I'm donating because you're playing Kingdom Hearts. Here you go.
Right.
Like, that doesn't happen. So there's some weird murky water that I think is going to get some attention at some point, but I'm hoping that it doesn't become a thing. And you know what? If Disney is going to make this stance that they are going to give a warning about streaming, I will give them the respect that I will never touch that, and I won't ever recommend it as a streaming game, and I'm going to have to qualify my recommendation for it.
No, that's fair. I think that's definitely a topic that we will want to put a pin in and keep an eye on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, there was a game called it was the sequel to like the 60 seconds before the apocalypse. I can't remember the name of it. It's kind of like a very...
I know what you mean. It's like 60 seconds to 0G or something like that.
Yeah. They said you can stream our game, but if you do anything profane, and they didn't define profane, or so, it was something to that effect, that they will take your copy away. Even if you bought the game and you were streaming it, and you did something profane or even used profane words, they would take your copy away.
About, like, kind of a crass
killing people, eating them, killing and eating other things.
But I'll tell you, if you use words worse than Cootie Queen, I don't know. I don't know. I don't want you representing me.
Even that.
Even Cootie Queen, you are right. Well, what are you calling a Cootie Queen, you lint licker?
Yeah. I returned my copy because I don't support that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, no. That's a problem. Well, I think that goes into a deeper problem too, where games are licensed instead of you owning them, right? So if you only have a license, it can be taken away. Whereas older generations, older games, we own it. We own an actual copy of the game that they can't just come to your house and go, we're taking this back. That can't happen. Yeah. Whereas licenses, I'm like,
an option, because I would love to give back Iron Man to Sega. Because I own it, but no one wants it.
Full circle.
Yeah.
No, seriously though, I think that goes into, and we've talked about it on here before. Other gaming podcasts have talked about it before. I think it's one that will continue to come up, and we'll discuss, especially as we see more and more games as a service type products coming out.
Yeah, if you want a sterling recommendation of something from a streamer ever, don't do this. Don't do this. And right now, what I can say about Kingdom Hearts was I did enjoy my time with it, but I'm not going to give it more time than it deserves. And it really doesn't deserve much time if I can't give you video of it, if I can't tell you and show you and give you an experience of what that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Just not interested.
And one of the things that we're going to be discussing later can talk about what the benefits of streaming can be too. So that we'll circle back on that, and I see that Furrow going, what game is she talking about? We'll get there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think about things like Elite Dangerous, where I think there's a lot of popularity that's come specifically from streaming.
Sure.
I mean, you played that.
Well, I think Elite had a very hardcore group,
a fan base,
because that game came out. Yeah, the original game came out in like late 80s,
1984.
And so yeah, okay, so people loved that game, and then they came out with another game and people loved that game, and then there was nothing, and then they came out with this one in 2014, like late 2014, I think. 15, sometime around then. And it's like not a huge group of people per se. Like I wouldn't say that it's like League of Legends or Dota or CSGO kind of amount of people, but there's definitely like a solid hardcore group of Elite Dangerous fans.
Yep.
And they're there every stream. Doesn't matter who you are in the streaming category. If you're even remotely entertaining, they will hang out with you.
Yep. This is true. Absolutely agree with that. I was thinking, we'll talk about it later, but Apex is what I was referring to. So.
I figured that's what you were talking about.
Yep. So.
But yeah, else? Have you been playing Apex? What have you been playing?
Because
I'm wrapped up.
I was gonna download Apex just to try it out and be like, yeah, I've tried this. I haven't gotten to it yet. There are so many other games I've been playing that, and I say so many, but it's like a few dedicated games. Of course, I've been playing Elite Dangerous because I've been doing a lot on stream. I'm beyond thrilled I actually finished my first major mission I've been trying to do, which is get my ass to Colonia. I got there.
Did you know that the Distant Worlds 2 waypoint, the newest one, is like less than 3,000 light years away from Colonia?
That's pretty close. That's what, 40 jumps or so. It's pretty close. Yeah,
probably. No. You could probably do it in like an hour.
Yeah, well, yeah, if you just jumped. So yeah,
I know that you can't do that.
Whoa, I've got a 52 light year jump range, sir.
Actually, Hippo, I have a 52 light year jump range. I'm really good at jumping. Look, it doesn't matter how good you are at jumping. It's still going to take you 5 hours to go like 100 light years because you scan literally everything in every single system.
Because I explore. I am an explorer, sir.
You don't have to map every single thing in the system to be an explorer.
I don't.
But you do. Oh, you do.
No, I don't.
I've been to your streams.
I don't fly to every single planet and throw probes at it. That is I'm not doing that.
I've seen so many pixelated planets since going to your stream.
Yes, Hippo, where is the spirit of your exploration? Where is your spirit?
My spirit of exploration is not mapping every single planet in every single system I jump to. My exploration spirit is in let's go find something really cool, not here's a boring planet just like every other boring planet in the fucking solar or the whole universe. It's like,
hey, that water planet is offended by what you said. That water planet has been trying to make a basis for itself.
That water planet is exactly like the other water planet, and you know it. Hashtag all water planets are the same.
I had no idea what you're talking about.
Mon Calar doesn't have a fit with you.
But yes, no. So been playing that. I actually started doing some deep core mining after I got there. I got a Python and outfitted that. I started outfitting that for deep core mining. And
what, they have Pythons at Colonia?
Yes.
Holy shit. When I was out there like a year and a half ago, there was like here's an eagle. You want a sidewinder?
Yeah, no, it was
that's all you get.
There was 11 different ships available there, but Python was one of them. So I got a Python, and I went deep core mining, and I stumbled my way through that. But I think while I was out there, I made like 18 million credits in like the hour I was out. So it's not the best, but certainly not the worst.
No, not at all. Especially considering 18 million credits used to take a long time to make.
Yeah. Of course, sitting at 200 some odd million credits because I, go through the FSS and find all the planets to tag myself on is a thing. Beyond that, I've been, of course, playing Guild Wars 2, and the other game that's been sinking a lot. I've been sinking a lot of time into is the other game that recently came out, Ace Combat 7.
Do tell me about that. How do you feel, and how is the gameplay? Talk to me, because I hear conflicting things, and I would like to know your opinion.
So there's gameplay wise, if you're not using a HOTAS, if you're using like a gamepad, it's fine. I thought gameplay was fun. The elements that I hated about Assault Horizon, they took out. They took those elements out and put back in the key game mechanics that people enjoyed about Ace Combat. I think, mechanically speaking, they did a great job. The problem I think that people had is some people, especially on PC, they have a HOTAS system. They have a throttle and joystick, and they want to freaking use it. But because it's mostly a port from PlayStation, it's only a few joysticks that work, and people are pretty miffed about that. So that's a downfall.
I mean, I heard that the proprietary joystick didn't work. The one that they made specifically for the game didn't work.
I don't know about that. I was going to try my HOTAS system because it's one of the few that's actually listed as being compatible. So thank you. So I got to try that out. But I've been doing a lot with gamepad because that's how I know Ace Combat, and I've been playing Ace Combat for years now, and I enjoyed it. Like, I have no problem. I'm going through my third playthrough of the campaign, and part of that is due to because the way the game plays is fun enough. The replayability and unlocking your various jets and the modifications you can make to the jets, they have a whole like branching tree that you can unlock stuff with credits, and they do a pretty good job with it. I thought it was probably one of the better systems as far as how you can buy things and unlock it. Like, as much as I love Ace Combat 5, for instance, it's pretty easy to breeze through it and unlock everything. It's not as quick, so you actually have to earn some of the stuff that's going on, and then you have titles and medals and everything else that you have to try to earn.
Well, I mean, that's cool. Like I said, I remember when it first came out, and Flying Bolts was playing, and he was not happy with it because he couldn't use his joystick, which is the one that I have, which is the Rhino X56.
Yeah.
And he was really unhappy, and he was streaming it, but he didn't enjoy what he was playing.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it's more of I mean, if you've ever played an Ace Combat game, you know it's an arcade game. It's not a flight simulator.
Yes.
In any way, it's not a flight simulator. It's definitely an arcade game. So when I saw that it was coming out, I was like, there's no way that I could even use my flight stick.
Yep. And I think I think you've nailed it, and that's a concept that people always forget, because they're like, oh yeah, it's a flight sim. It's like, no, it's not. Find me any jet that can have a payload of 112 missiles, please. I'll sit back. I'll wait, because it doesn't exist. Some of the movements that the bosses make, like some of especially at the speeds that they go at, if some of those bosses actually tried to do that in real life, the planes would be, the wings would be ripped right off the body. Right? Like, that doesn't happen. But it's an arcade game, so who gives a shit?
Yeah, I mean, I won the one before that from your channel, actually. When you were doing a giveaway, I was like, I want to try this game out. Let's see if I can win. And then I did, and I was like, this is actually a lot of fun.
Yeah. I love
flight simulators. I have like over 1,000 hours in War Thunder. I love the realistic flight model, or the more realistic flight model in War Thunder than any other game out there right now.
Sure.
I like that. So for me to go into the game knowing that it's an arcade game, I had no problem, because I knew that it wasn't going to be like that, you know?
Yeah. So having those expectations, like, I wasn't disappointed by that. I think the only thing I was disappointed in was some of the cliches in the story. If you were court-martialed and you are a con, they are not going to put you into a jet and make you a target. Sorry, they're going to keep you in solitary. Not going to happen any other way. But that's what happened, and all of a sudden you've redeemed yourself and you're a hero. No, you're not. That is so
Where's
bogus.
my Top Gun? Top Gun is coming out. There's a remake of Top Gun coming out. Where the hell is my Top Gun game? Okay, I need that game.
Yes, please.
Have you played some of the old Top Gun game? Have you?
I played the one on the Nintendo where you could never land. Oh, I could never land. Other people could, but I couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. Oh my god, that takes me back. Whew.
Yeah, that's a really old game, but it was so good. It was so good.
I crashed my jet. I crashed my jet in Ace Combat too. What am I saying? So, but so the only other thing I think that I am torn on is like some of the difficulties, like some of the things that you had to do within a timer. Like, you had so many kills you had to get within a time frame, and it was so freaking hard. And I think it was Danotage. I was watching him too, and it was the same freaking mission I was getting pissed at. I was watching him get upset. I'm like, well, I'm glad to know I'm not the only one. And if you got someone that's as cool as he is getting ticked off, then that clearly says something.
Yeah, I don't like when games put time limits on stuff. It like artificially makes it feel like it's what do you call it? Like artificial haste, or what? I can't. My words are not very good, but you know what I mean. Where it's not an actual like thing that you really do need to hurry up and do.
Yeah.
But
it's creating anxiety just to create anxiety.
Exactly. I hate that so much. Like, I get certain things like, oh no, there's a fire, put it out, or oh no, there's a flood, or something like that. But when it's just like, do the thing in this amount of time, you're like, what? Why? Well, why does it have to be now?
And the thing is like, it's not the end of the world if you do that once in a while, because it makes sense. There are time sensitive like flying missions that exist, right? But there are so many of them in this game that are reliant on a timer. It's like, why not just have this is what we need to start. Once you've done that, mission accomplished, RTB. You know, RTB means return to base, for those that don't realize what that acronym is.
Mm-hmm.
I see Elijah going, what?
Me, but okay.
I saw Elijah just going,
like, I'm
what?
thinking about zombie games.
Right? Yeah. So, but overall, like, I don't think it was a bad game. I enjoyed it. I still play it. I'm still playing it now. I'll probably be playing it again a few times this week. Not on, it's not maybe when I'll stream again, but I'm playing it on my own time for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't really generally listen to like the overall masses of reviews and stuff like that. I don't really listen to that. I like to make up my own mind. And there have been so many times where had I listened to the Metacritic or whatever garbage critic about a game, and I would have never played it. And then I'm glad that I did, because I enjoyed the game regardless of the people who were like, this game is bad and you shouldn't buy it. And then I bought it and played it, and I was like, what are you talking about? This is a great game.
Yeah.
Story of my life.
I think
Yeah, but you
do you feel that way about Iron Man? Do you really?
I'm not saying that about Iron Man. I mean, there are some.
I was gonna say,
I definitely do.
There's a feel like that. There's games I enjoy too that people are like, no, that's not good at all. And it's just like, that's like, if you were to ask for my rating on this game, I would say that is 6 out of 7 refueling missions, because scores are arbitrary and they make no sense.
I was really confused until you said that. I was like, wait, what?
Exactly.
I rate this game a glorified guava.
Yeah, exactly.
Guavas are good though.
I would say,
unless you don't like them.
There's
in
some
which case they're
good
bad.
reason for rating, simply because I think the way that we use them is wrong. I think the way we use it's done more almost like
it's very personal.
Yeah, I think it's not wrong to have it be somewhat personal, but I also think it needs to be a matter of, it should be level of recommendation, not specifically, this is what I'm saying the overall quality of the entire game is.
Well, the reason
I can agree with that.
Yeah,
that's why so many of my games on my channel don't actually have a super high score, but have a score where it's like, I'm saying positive things and I still do like it, but that doesn't mean that everyone I know should play Dark Void. I love Dark Void, but it is so a 5.5.
So here's the thing, and this is why I will continue to argue that scores are arbitrary, though. Your scoring system is different than, say, Dizza's scoring system, which is different from, say, Game Informer's scoring system, which is different from, Johnny's gaming blog on YouTube. Different.
But everyone is always going to do things differently.
Yes, right. But then you had this stupid little site called Metacritic that doesn't care about that, and then they put it all together and go, well, the score is this, and it's like, that doesn't matter. That's why I think it's arbitrary.
I'm not on Metacritic, so I'm not bound to their whatever.
Yet.
Here's so herein lies the bigger issue. And maybe we're pointing the finger in the wrong place, because developers make points for, what bonuses that they're going to give their creators based off of Metacritic. And don't get me wrong, you have to have some sort of basis, but
sure.
I mean,
yeah.
Metacritic is going to be imperfect, as everything else is going to be imperfect. The only thing that you could really go back to and be like, well, here is an objective statement as to how well we have done, is the number of boxes you have sold.
Yep. That's objective.
Is now kind of a flawed metric because of just how much scaling has happened to the industry.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I constantly have people, especially when I'm playing a new game that was just released, people come into my channel and they're like, should I buy this game? And I'm like, dude, I don't even know you. How am I supposed to tell you if you should buy it or not? I don't know what you like. I know what I like. I don't know you.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is good enough to... Yeah, like, I'm not going to tell you, like, buy this game, and because you're buying this game, you're going to have to eat nothing but ramen noodles for 2 weeks. Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, look, I just tell them, like, stick around, watch the gameplay. You can ask questions. And in fact, I encourage people to ask questions so that I can help you decide. But other than that, I'm not going to, like, tell you to buy it. I can tell you that I like the game or I dislike the game or why I like things, like aspects of the game. But I'm not going to go like, you should buy that game, except for you should definitely buy Elite Dangerous.
I wouldn't go so far as to say that you can't, because maybe it's because I'm always having to review everything under the bloody sun, but there's ways that you can talk about if someone will be interested. Like if someone were to pop onto my stream and they have asked me, is this game actually good or not? You explain what it is. You talk about what you're experiencing. You lay out what you yourself are going through, and that's not a terrible frame of reference for some people, because realistically they are still going off of your experience, and them watching you and listening to what you've experienced with it will help inform them. There's a few cases where I have actually gotten interested in a game because of a streamer showing it off and just expressing what they experienced. It might not be what you agree with, but at the very least, it's I mean, I can name like close to a dozen reviewers that I will read their things that they say, and I don't like their taste in games. In one case, I think that the person is completely off their rocker, but I still refer to them. I know
somebody like that. It might be on this podcast.
Well, what was that? I missed that.
What? Missed what?
Words.
What's happening?
You say, boy.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
I didn't say anything. No one heard anything.
One team, one game.
What you're talking about. I had no idea what you're talking about. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I've been playing overall. I'm sure I'll be talking about Apex a little bit in the next show, but for now, that's all I've been playing. So.
Wait. Have you played Apex? Show? Or do we want to get into that right this second? I don't know.
I think we can talk about it. I mean, it makes sense. Like, it's the phenomena that's caught on in the last week.
Oh my gosh! I had one of my coworkers just randomly come up to me and be like, "Hey, kid, want to play some Apex?" And I'm like, "No, I don't want those."
Has anybody here on this podcast played Apex?
I have not.
I am very confused.
Okay, so fucking perfect. We have 4 nerds talking about a game that we don't even play. Great.
Yeah, no, I think
excellent.
I think the only thing that we can talk about. No. Look, there's a couple quick things that we can only talk about, and we can talk about objectively. 1, that it's been out for a week. 2, that there's been over 8 million people already playing the game, and what is the appeal that makes even like someone that hasn't played it go, all right, well, I'm going to give this a shot, because we can do that. We can talk about that without talking about the gameplay because we haven't played it. We can't talk about the gameplay because we haven't been there. We can talk about the appeal, though.
There is one gameplay thing that needs to be mentioned that is impressive. It apparently has very good accessibility for communication. So if you in any way have auditory limitations, or if you're not good at quickly typing into text chat, or if you don't have a microphone, their pinging system is apparently marvelous.
Okay.
So that's exciting. I'm just gonna put my just to drop my microphone right here at the fact of I freaking love Titanfall and I freaking hate Battle Royale, so I'm extremely conflicted. Like I want to be open-minded because I repeat, I'm the guy who likes Resident Evil 6. I always try to go for the underdog thing, but I really I look at Apex and I think I would love everything about this if it were a co-op shooter or if it were traditional PvP. Basically, just give me this as Black Ops 3 and I'll play it. But you're trying to sell me on Battle Royale, and that's not
I totally understand. I'm one of those people who was hardcore into Overwatch for like a year. Just like that's almost all I would play for a long time. Like I loved Overwatch, and then I burnt out. And then all of these Battle Royale games came out, and they were all the exact same game with slight differences.
Yeah.
I was like, even like a year ago, I was like, if somebody were to make a Battle Royale game with a different idea behind it, I think it would be amazing. I was like, well, why don't they make a game that's a Battle Royale game, but in a fantasy world, and not just you drop from a plane and you pick up loot and you kill each other, and then whoever survives is the winner. And it's like, could you come up with something better? Can you innovate? Because this model is dead. Like you're literally beating a dead horse. Like,
can I interrupt you for just a second? Your requested game exists. There's actually a fantasy, but that's the irony is I don't like Battle Royale, but there was recently revealed a Harry Potter inspired one, and it makes a lot more sense than Apex does at being
There was a
battle
Kirby
royale
one, dude.
to acquire the various spells and combine them freeform over time. It looks just a lot more like it was designed from the get-go for battle royale, whereas I really believe that Apex did start as this.
Yeah, can I please have the Kirby Battle Royale? Thank you. That's all.
Ugh. Anyway,
Kirby is awesome. I'm sorry.
we're going to shelve that.
No.
That is a thing, though. Anyway, what I was just going to say is that I do feel one of the reasons why Apex Legends has been so successful is, one, it's brand new.
Yep.
And two, it's the same idea as Fortnite, and which I understand why Fortnite did as well as it did, because it took those ideas from the previous Battle Royale and then incorporated it into with building completely changes it. Instead of it just like, you know, like, what is it, like 2D to 3D, you can build, you can put up stuff wherever. So I feel like, and I haven't really watched too much of Apex Legends, but I did actually watch some of my friends play it, and it does look very much like maybe Fortnite mixed with maybe not even Fortnite, just like a battle royale genre mixed with Overwatch. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I as somebody who hates the battle royale genre, and every time someone mentions battle royale goes, I think this is a good idea.
Yeah.
Personally.
And I think I'm kind of in the same boat with you there as far as that is concerned. I also think that the fact that Respawn didn't like get influenced by their publisher and just like, you know what, we're just gonna roll with this because that's what we wanted to do. It was something that they decided to roll out in place of upcoming Titanfall game, and they just hit the jackpot right. And
I did hear some complaints about the loot boxes because they're supposed, I don't know if this is actually the case, it's just hearsay, but I did hear some stuff about the loot boxes being kind of not good.
Well, they're loot boxes.
From what I've heard, it's very work in progress right now, which wouldn't shock me because right now just everyone is very hair trigger about loot boxes. Like Anthem is getting smashed for supposedly having the $20 loot box, but then it's revealed no, they repeatedly told press and all other testers that those are temporary pricings. They were placeholders for just because whatever. It's happened before. Splinter Cell Blacklist was advertising its DLC and E3 demos. It's just already built into the game's code. So I'm wondering how much of Apex's freak out is just a symptom of Anthem's.
Sure.
And let's not forget stuff when it comes down to loot boxes, like EA is having more and more issues in Belgium.
Yes, they are.
They're getting rid of their FIFA points, which I don't care about FIFA one way or the other, but I think it's important to note, like, it's continuing to get worse.
Well, yeah. So, but like that's the extent of EA's influence, right? Like, they really didn't influence.
They apparently were afraid of it.
Yeah, they were. Mm-hmm. And after their what was it? Their investors called, like, their stock is completely rebounded because of this game, because they left it alone. Go figure.
So I'm looking at the microtransactions right now, mm-hmm. and I don't know how much this currency is, like, in relation to the game stuff, but, like, I mean, there's a loot box, or, like, you can buy the currency for, like, $12 is the cheapest package, all the way up to $120.
For the whale, when they land that whale.
Yeah, for the whale in us all.
Look, Moby Dick will show up on this game too.
Turns out,
I know streamers are 100% the whales.
Yeah,
they're going for streamers because look at it right now. Mm-hmm. If you just go to Twitch right now, the top streamed game right now is Apex Legends with 341,000 viewers.
Yep.
Fortnite is only 126,000.
Yeah, I think Epic Games has got to pay attention to this because they might get knocked out. They might. I'm not saying that they will, but
I doubt it.
It's a flavor of the month thing.
Finally some competition because PUBG's not been doing jack shit.
Yeah,
PUBG,
I think the other part,
H1Z1.
Yeah, it's an opportunity for a lot of people who are like, oh wow, I see what's going on with Fortnite. I've seen Ninja. I think I can go and get myself super popular with the game, to throw their hat in the ring and cross their fingers and hope that something amazing happens to them. So a lot of people will do that, and a lot of people will advertise because of it, and that's where you're getting a lot of the popularity as well.
Right. Well, I say that as realizing that, yeah, I'm completely okay with calling Fortnite that flavor of the month too. It's just a long month that it was the flavor.
It's years, and I would say that people are probably gonna go back to Fortnite. Right now, everyone's just like, oh shit, this game is new, it's cool, there's something different, let's go play it. But after a while, I don't know, we'll see if it can hold up to Fortnite, PUBG, all those games.
I suppose another thing that we're not talking about is also like, what's the age demographic that's being targeted with this game versus, because
Fortnite is way young.
Yeah, right. So maybe Apex will pull an older one. Yeah, so maybe that has something to do with it.
I do feel that Apex is like an older audience because it's not cartoony. It's not like, not to say that Fortnite is cutesy, but there's definitely some cutesy stuff in it, you know?
Yeah, it's that cartoon aspect that you're referencing. Whereas like, even I could watch. I've watched streamers play Apex and it was like, all right, well, this isn't bad, you know.
Let's be fair.
It looks interesting.
When it comes to Apex's presentation, it didn't make the Lawbreakers mistake of, we're cool. Don't you think we're cool because we keep being really annoying? We're cool. Instead, Apex is like, no, we're actually going to be charming and not aggressively in your face so much that you want to punch us.
Well, not with all the Twitch ads I've seen for Apex, I'd argue that now.
Okay, yeah, the campaign, the marketing campaign on Twitch and other things, that's all that I see.
Yep.
I only see Apex.
That's all I see right now too.
So well done, Respawn, for really, really hammering that into gamers.
Yeah, right. But like I've seen Elspeth Eastman play it. I've seen Angry Joe play it, and they're overall pretty impressed with it. And it's enough where it's like, all right, it's free to play. It's not early access. Like, it launched 1.0, which I think is really freaking cool. That in itself is a reason I'm like, I'll give this a go. I'll reward that.
But you can be like, oh yeah, the game is still in development, but it's 1.0.
Well, it always bugs me. There's games I played that are so quote-unquote 1.0 that have been barely finished. That really irks me.
Can I just say Astroneer is one of those games where it went 1.0 but really still feels like early access? And
you're not doing Astroneer any favors with me by telling me this.
I love Astroneer, but it definitely needs work still.
I like the idea of it.
If it's not finished, it's not 1.0. That's why extra decimal points are there.
I agree with you. We don't disagree.
No,
I'm with you.
I don't think any of us disagree on it, but I'm not a huge fan of like early access games, to get like the idea of what some companies do with it. Like, I get why indie developers can do it, but there's some that abuse it, and I don't necessarily care for the fact that they're like, they've foregone that and just went, no, here we go. And they'll continue to patch and fix it as they go and balance. It's probably going to be a lot of balancing, probably. But
yeah, I find the Blizzard non-nerf buff ideas very interesting. It's the only company that I've ever really seen do that, where they're like, this person or this class or this whatever is overpowered. Instead of nerfing it, let's just bring everybody else up to the same level. And then they always bring one person or one class a little too high, and they're like, well, let's bring everybody up a little bit more. Yeah. And then it just keeps going and going.
Creep, creep, creep.
Exactly.
Must resist urge to go start rambling about Mercy and Symmetra. Must resist urge to start rambling.
What are you watching, Elijah? Because it looks like you're just...
I think there's an explosion taking place in front of it.
Yeah, I see all sorts of strobes. That's exactly what I think it is.
It's super distracting.
Just coincidentally be playing the hot game of the Steam sale, Battleborn.
So you're playing Battleborn while you're talking with us.
Just a little bit.
Okay.
All right, guys, so we're going to go ahead and take a break. Christ. So,
I thought like your TV was like falling apart or something.
something I don't
So
know.
I'm glad to see that's not the case.
Jesus. All right, guys. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and take a break on that. So, go ahead and get up, move around, stretch, go to the bathroom, but don't go too far. The Newbcast will return in a short bit, hopefully without
Good, maybe
Battleborn
around
on the
Apex soon.
backside.
I like how Elijah's camera is freezing.
It's a nice
What?
touch.
Yeah, it's periodically catching you on these like perfect moments.
Your face is like, huh? It's great. It's great.
Nice touch.
Oh my goodness, it's so wonderful.
With that said, guys, welcome back to the Newbcast Podcast.
You're muted to us.
I'm muted
What?
to
No,
you.
she's not muted to me.
You can hear her?
Yeah.
That's
Are
interesting.
you sure?
Yeah.
Wait a second. Elijah, be the translator. Tell us what's going on.
How can you hear her but we can't? Do you have the stream
Everything is
on?
Fine. There's nothing to be concerned about here, and everyone gets a free waffle.
A free waffle.
Wait,
So
I get a free
we
waffle?
can't hear Michelle,
What?
and Elijah is 2 frames per minute.
That's interesting.
I'm definitely digging this.
Hippo, check Discord.
No one
I'm
seems
looking
to
at
be
it
having
right
an
now.
issue on the stream for me, it seems like everybody's coming through stably. So we've gone from me
That's-
being the broken one to me being the one who has everything working fine, and no one else is appearing.
Well, everything's working on my end.
I see this on the stream actually. This is fascinating.
So you can't hear her either, right, Dizza?
No, you and I
Okay.
both cannot hear her.
Alright.
But
This is,
Elijah,
this
you
is
can
not a
hear me.
hoax. This is not
Yes,
not.
I can hear you. So everybody pick your settings.
The settings have not changed.
How would that?
Obviously you guys on the stream can hear her because you're hearing
Oh
through
my
a
God.
different sound source.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: Hippo and I can't. We are either we are collectively broken, or everybody else is collectively broken.
What the heck?
This is
This has
so
been,
weird.
okay, see, this has been the smoothest podcast we've ever had.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, hey, when you do live shows, things are gonna mess up.
Yep.
Mm.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's all part of live streaming.
Well, welcome to the breakout session of the Newbcast Podcast, where we split up into two
Right
groups.
now.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
This is the Dizza and Hippo show. We are having this. We're having a show at the same time as
Right,
Michelle
and that works
and
really
Elijah.
well, right?
Oh, hey, I hear you.
So
and
for
now we
whatever
don't.
reason,
Oh, no, I do.
I was gonna say for whatever reason, I muted my microphone in Discord and then unmuted it, and all of a sudden, oh, it worked. But it was never muted.
Okay, well there you go.
Magic.
Yeah, right.
Something's going on with your video for me now. I'm not sure if it's happening on the stream though. For a second there, you were desynchronized, but it seems like it's
Yeah,
okay,
it was
actually
desynced, but it's better now. It's better.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're
I
good.
still have randomly
Yeah.
smelling.
What's our next
Elijah.
topic?
We're,
I'm
we're
waiting for-
good.
I'm waiting for the
Except for Elijah.
I'm waiting for the smoke to come out of the top of the podcast at this point.
Maybe the computer actually was breaking.
So I know a lot of people, they don't like these technical difficulties, but I find them very entertaining because it's
They're
like, hey, you know what? We are definitely not professional.
This is
We
proof
are
that this is
pretending to be
real.
professional.
hold,
Yeah, this
is
hold on.
live.
No, hold on. I have watched people that are professionals have the same problems, so you know.
I know, I agree. Don't take yourself too seriously. Have fun with the technical difficulties. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, right.
I personally find it entertaining as heck. So
Hold on 1 second here while we do this. I'm gonna try one more thing here and see if this helps with the blinking thing I'm noticing too.
yeah, that's just a Discord thing though.
Yeah,
The Discord.
I
I mean,
know.
I can blink excessively if that will undo it. Like if I over blink, does that?
Okay, you know what? I want to see it.
Does that make me look more fantastic? I don't know.
Blink 42 times if it's yes.
If I do that, my eye will seriously fall out of my head if I do that.
Oh my god.
We're trying to make more challenges. We're trying to make challenges for you, Hippo, that you can't complete.
Oh my goodness.
That's just rude.
Oh gosh. So, other gaming news. How about the news about Xbox Live?
Yeah, so I've only heard a little bit about that, and I want to hear your guys' opinion and views on what's going on.
Well, who's setting the table?
Well, so here's
Michelle?
the thing. So it was announced earlier. This actually kind of dates back to the whole Microsoft Nintendo thing, poking fun at Sony back at E3. If you guys remember that with Minecraft. It seemed to have planted the seed for Microsoft to go ahead and go, you know what, we're going to launch Xbox Live cross-platform. And so coming up, we will see...
I'm all for this, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is the idea of going cross-platform with the Xbox Live service, because when it comes to the console online services, Xbox Live is the best by far and away. Like, they win it by a country mile. So... They have announced that they're going to release Xbox Live on iOS, Android, and the Switch. So you can log in.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, allows for I believe there's crossplay. There's that. You'll be able to check your achievement across platforms, which is really cool. Be able to contact with your friends across platforms. I like where this is going. It really. I'm not saying that this will lead us directly into cross-platform capabilities in a lot of games, but it can help lead the way there.
And to be fair, it's Microsoft and Nintendo have been getting on very well recently. Let's be real here.
Yeah.
Because they've done advertisements together,
Yep.
which is not something. I mean, even when Steam and PS3 were getting along nicely, they didn't advertise it. It was just sort of like, oh yeah, by the way, your PS3 copy of Portal 2 includes a PC copy.
Yep.
Here, it's like, whoa, there's a lot going on here. We're specifically seeing versions of games being enhanced for Xbox and Switch crossplay, but for PC. Paladins did that. Warframe, I think, even did that before it. So it's like, holy shit, because they, to be honest, Xbox and Nintendo basically aim at completely different demographics, so it actually works for them to have crossplay. It actually helps cross that gap.
Yep, I know, I completely agree with that. And I like the idea of it too, because how often do you find yourself playing a game that you want to play with your friend, but your friend has a different console? Like,
I encountered this literally last night, like maybe about 16 hours ago. I was playing the Hunter Call of the Wild, and my buddy messaged me and he's like, hey, I have a friend who has this. Do you also have it on a console? And it just so happens that console was Xbox, and I don't have an Xbox. And he's like, well, he has it on PlayStation 4. And I was like, I was thinking about getting on the PlayStation 4 as well, so that I can play with a couple of other friends. And he's like, well, I don't even have that. So it's like, but I do, like, there's no, you can't take your awesome account from whatever PC or console or whatever you did play it on, like for the majority. You can't you have to start over. You can't, there's no cross-play aspect of it, which kind of sucks, but
yeah, the ability to play along like that and the potential for it would be really nice. We do see it in some games, but like you're playing Diablo 3, for instance, is another example. It'd be nice to be able to play along with you, but I have it on PC, so.
You know, it'd be great if my Switch Diablo 3 and my PC Diablo 3 were the same account, but they're not.
Yeah.
They're not even connected.
There you go.
It's really annoying if you want to play Diablo 3, which I know a lot of you guys are like, who the hell plays Diablo 3 anymore? I'm that one guy. Oh, there's 3 of us. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't play it hardcore anymore. But
the new season I've been playing, but you know.
And it's so nice on Switch. Like, I would love to be able to play it on Switch and have a friend who happens to have a PC and not feel like, oh gosh, you better get it on the Switch too. Oh, you don't have a Switch, you better get a Switch. because it's so much better on that. Like, I'm not here to advertise for that specific version of the game, and a lot of people who are in this boat would be bothered by that. I just happen to have the opportunity to play on either right now, which is great, but not everyone can do that either.
Yeah, the Switch is a very large upfront investment, and then you have to buy the games that are like $60 as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
So, I suppose, a couple things comes to mind. I wonder how Android and iOS will play into that, and how that will incorporate all together, because those are
actually, we have an example. We have a bit of an understanding, because when the Microsoft phones, which rest in peace, like the Zune, you were too good for this world apparently. Because Microsoft tried to do the reverse on their Windows Phone device. They were actually going to support emulation for Android and iOS. They were going to try to make it so you could actually use everything there. Didn't pan out that way, so now they're kind of doing the opposite. But the thing is, when Windows Mobile launched, they actually got some Xbox Live Indie Arcade games running. Ilo Milo was their big seller. And they tried to integrate as much as possible. I think there was even the feature to turn your phone into a virtual controller. That was one of their big features, was that you could actually play it, which not ideal, but also it's cheaper for some people than buying another friggin' controller, because always controllers are made so much about price gouging. So, like, I can see features like that definitely coming along. I can see a lot more mobile stuff coming along, and if they were actually clever about it, I would repackage a lot of the Kinect software as touchscreen enabled games, because as I've talked about before, Kinect is basically a giant smartphone screen that you use while with your body. So translating that to an actual touchscreen, not hard. I could see you doing stuff like the Gunstringer on an Xbox Live app, and that would make it have incentive. You could have already made games. You just would have to make sure that the emulation or whatever you're doing to get the software running is stable enough.
Well, and we kind of saw some of what you're talking about, though, right? Because Xbox 360 had a live app, and so did the Xbox One. They have live apps, so you can kind of make your phone a controller. So that makes sense. But like, are you talking about being able to take, like, we'll use iOS for example with Game Center? Are you going to be able to sync your Game Center and Xbox Live so you can keep track of like hours played, achievements unlocked, and stuff like that too?
I mean, we already eventually saw that with Windows. I just recently now for my Xbox Live account have it stained with how many achievements I accrued in Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City on PC, while also having simultaneous ones from the 360 copy that I barely used. So it's like, it's not outside the realm of possibility.
Okay. I mean, it'd be interesting to see that, and I suppose the same being said about Android and whatnot. I'm curious to see how that pans out more. If that expands further and goes to like PC, I just hope it's not games for Windows Live again, because
didn't they discontinue that?
Yes,
they did, to the point that it's broken on Windows 10. If a game has games for Windows Live, you have to do tons of workarounds or in order to actually be able to play it on Windows 10. It's ridiculous.
Slight deviation to the conversation, but what's up with the Twitch keyboard only being on iOS and not Android? It's been over a year now. Surely that can't be that difficult.
To be fair, though, on my Android tablet, I tend to have my own customized keyboard that I've selected. That's sort of a thing with Android.
Right, but so
but it should be easier at that point.
It's a synced keyboard. So if you are subbed to a certain channel, you can use those emotes even in text message form. You don't have to like.
Yep, and that's on iOS, but
it should be easier to do on Android, because they've been more open about being able to have custom keyboards for a long time. I can't imagine.
It might be licensing or something. Twitch doesn't want to do business with them. I don't know. I haven't really looked into it.
Amazon and Google, though?
You would think that they would want to do stuff with Android, too.
It might be more just a pure programming issue. Like, how are they confirming on the keyboard that you have a subscription to a certain streamer, and as such getting all of that material? I could see something like that being a problem, and I could see Google being a little finicky about that, maybe. But if Google was going to be finicky about it, I would expect Apple to be a little bit stricter. I don't know.
I
don't know.
maybe it's.
I haven't looked into it. Like I said, it's just something that came to mind.
It could have something to do with side loading too, I suppose. But I mean, that's what I don't know. That's interesting question.
I'm sorry, there was something that was a mess on my desk. I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry. It was a very intense moment.
Let's hold on to that for a moment. A
Really?
very intense moment.
Anyway, I suppose I think it's later this spring that we're gonna see it out. So I'm curious to see what it does. The only other thing I've heard speculation around with this service is we can maybe expect more games as a service coming from it as well, but that is digging for some rumor at that point. But
yeah, that's quite the speculation.
I don't know. I think it's interesting. I like the idea overall, and kudos for Microsoft for wanting to play ball with their competitors and make it a little more brings the communities a little bit closer together. Although screw PlayStation, because apparently they're still out.
How about, I know this is a difficult thing to think about, how about making something consumer friendly? I know it's a difficult thing to imagine.
Oh my god, Hippo.
What?
You know that meme?
A company. Yeah, what's up?
You know the meme where everybody's sitting in a boardroom and there are 4 people
exactly
in there?
Talking about.
You are the 4th person. You're the 4th person
thrown out the window.
Out that window. Right now.
I know, right? Just what if we make things more consumer friendly?
Oh dear. So
I
yeah.
finally, I want to see more cross-play simply because so many multiplayer games that were brilliant, that had communities that loved them, died, or a platform got slighted because they thought they could get away with it. So if we stop seeing that happen because of this, if at the very least for Xbox and Switch and just in general the Nintendo gamers, this stops being a problem, then fantastic. Then I know which platforms I'm going to be focusing on next generation.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some push and pull, and it's a recognition that communities and where they end up being housed is partially based off of chance. You know, like there's an opportunity for PlayStation to miss out on potential sales because they don't have a community for XYZ game. Xbox has an opportunity to miss, an ABC game, and Nintendo. I mean, Nintendo's always done its own thing, but they can get along with it too. Like, it helps alleviate a lot of those concerns. And I don't know who would be the real winner in that situation. Xbox clearly thinks that they will be a winner as a result of it. And maybe that says something about the success of the Switch and the PS4.
Could we, I know I don't mean to harp on this, but could we as the consumer be the winner for like one time in the past like 15 years? Could we come out on top? Just
Impossible.
For like one generation, just like one generation of consoles. Could we please? I know it's difficult. Xbox, Microsoft, Sony.
I don't think the investors would
Nintendo.
like that much, Hippo.
I know. They're like, no. We need to nickel and dime them until they possibly cannot give us any more money.
We're
Instead of...
We're getting some good consumer things. We were just talking not too long ago about how the subscription services and stuff like that are helping things. And there's other stuff that's making it so that having access to the games you want in a format that isn't trying to strain every single bullet from your body, every dollar.
But I mean, a subscription service in itself is upfront more nickel and diming. You know, like I get that it could be a good thing, but it's also
how could you? I really want you to lay it out for Irving here. How is Games Pass offering me a way where I can just play the games that are on the subscription service, paying one fee for like a year?
It depends on how much money. it is.
Okay, but you're talking about pricing. That's not simply nickel and dime. That's like the average cost for a lot of the current gaming subscription services tend to be cheaper than actually just buying the games outright. There's the loss of
I definitely agree with you.
But it's like nickel and diming. That would be more like there's successive tiers upon tiers upon tiers, which we've already seen a little bit of threat with.
That's all over PC though. That's the problem. It's rampant on PC.
I can't think of many PC subscriptions. I can't think of many with PC where the subscription service has lots of tiers. Humble Monthly is one straight thing. Games Pass is one straight thing. Until recently, Origin was one straight thing. So we aren't seeing nearly as much a thing as like with a cable company where there's 15 different packages, and I don't care if you don't want that copy of Madden, you're going to receive it just like you receive ESPN, even though you never freaking watch sport.
This is how it begins. 1 and 2.
I mean,
if we are looking for something like pro-consumer, what was it? A couple of episodes back, we were talking about all of the back and forth with competition between Origin and Steam, and a lot of sales coming up as a result. Consumers being able to get much better pricing on their games as a result of all of this action taking place on the PC element. I don't think it's impossible. I would love to see something this cool happen on consoles, but I remain cautiously skeptical.
I do think that it can be the beginning if we're not careful, but I agree to an extent that it's a good thing. I mean, it kind of sucks that this month, Vita and what else? Like the PlayStation 3 are no longer being supported by PlayStation Plus, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I get that though, because you have to eventually you have to phase out old technology, right? Probably. I don't know. Sure. I'm not a programmer. I don't know, but I'm just saying
it's not unreasonable. And trust, I mean, speaking as someone right here with my PlayStation Vita, it is something that makes me very sad that soon there's not going to be as much, because that's the shame with my Wii U, is that every now and then a really good sale actually happens, and then there's something on sale like Resident Evil Revelations or Monster Hunter, but a lot of it now is just shovelware, because that's the only people who will actually put their games on sale at this point for the Wii U. So also, I know that's going to happen over time, but if anything, I know it's not been said a lot, and there's a lot of things to slam Sony for, and I'm still very annoyed that they've been shafting in terms of the actual coverage, but they have been putting things more aggressively on sale for those who are still using what are now legacy hardware to them. I've seen deals where you could get a Call of Duty game with all of its DLC for like $30, which for Activision is ridiculously cheap for some of their things, and there's other games where it's way less. Just recently, the entire Dead Space trilogy, each one of them was for like less than $10. You got all of the downloadable content bundled in. So like, you're at least seeing them sunset them somewhat reasonably. And even like the PSP held out for how long, it still was supported, and you still can get games onto it from PSN. You just have to use another Sony platform to upload them. But otherwise, you can actually still download and access them. So it's like, it's happening a bit more gracefully than it seems, but they're not advertising it, and that's, I think, what actually pisses me off more than them if they just didn't do it. It's someone is putting in the effort, and they're actually kind of actively suppressing the fact.
Mm-hmm. Also, just kind of reading the chat, screw you guys. Just want to put that out there.
It was a dab. It was a dab,
it
not
was
a
sneeze. I can mute the microphone just like this. I can... And then I can unmute the microphone. You can hear me again.
And you dabbed. We all saw. All of us.
Speaking of, so moving on.
It's okay. Dabs are consumer friendly.
God. So moving on, talking about consumer friendly and relationships and everything else. Apparently, this is just a recap from the last episode where we talked about this extensively. Disney has said that their relationship with EA is okay. It's fine.
I love, though, that in the article, they keep kind of like, well, it hasn't gone well for us on our own, which is like, yeah, no shit, Sherlock.
Yeah.
And there's been other things like that where it's like, they basically seem to be justifying it to themselves. in the video or in the article about why everything is fine. It really sounds like someone slowly going, this is fine.
Yeah, well, that's just
it's okay.
Right?
We're all fine here now.
They're just well played. No, that's just it, right? Like they're comparing.
How are you? Sorry,
perfect Star Wars reference right there.
Although we should be kind of concerned that Han Solo is Disney.
Well, right.
Oh God.
Yeah, he is. So that makes it even better.
I gotta go. I don't like this.
This makes me uncomfortable.
But
in many ways.
So yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
Elijah nailed it though, right? Like that's the problem. So they're comparing it based on their own performances. It's like, well, first off, LucasArts as a whole did really well for themselves. So you acquired them. You could have just rolled with that, but no. There are other things out there. Just because EA does it better than Disney doesn't mean that they're doing it well.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if they realize that if they had actually stopped giving it to EA to work with, that maybe they'll have more than just 2 games out by now. Just a thought. But I don't think I don't think Disney realizes what's going on there. Like they're just like whatever. It's not a problem. Not a problem.
Really, just that does need to be emphasized. That Disney just really does not understand.
They don't.
You gotta appreciate how much they have no idea how any of this works. Like, just looking at their history of projects canceled,
of course not,
and how they toss around continuity for all their different things, it's amazing that any of their good games released.
Well, and here's the thing, like right now, like Disney's proven that when it comes to video games, the only thing that they can handle and understand is that they can make match 3 games. Because how many different ones did they have on their phone right now, on mobiles right now? You can get one for pretty much any Disney movie that's come out in the last 10 years. Plus, you can get a Disney themed one with like all the different characters, and that's all they have. That's it.
I feel like we see this a lot with the top companies, where they're so disconnected to what the consumer is actually wanting from them.
Mm-hmm.
And they just don't get it. Like EA, Blizzard is a huge deal right now. Recently, in the past few months. Don't you have phones? I mean, this is the thing, that once you have these like darling companies, right? These small companies who blow up because they have a fantastic whatever. That is a Switch, not a phone. They have these really good games, right? Like they have these really good games because they're the people who want to play that game. They're like, let's make that game, and then they do, and then they get really well. They get like a lot of money, and they do really well, and then they start making another game, and then like they make another game, and then after a while, they've become so big. They're completely disconnected what the average gamer wants, because it's been time. There's been a long time, usually like 5-10 years or more in some cases, a lot of money. They don't understand, right? So they especially the CEOs, these dudes fucking making them a lot of money, and everyone else is like, we don't want to put this in our game. We don't want to screw our customers over. And they're like, no, but we got to make that money.
Yep.
And so they're like completely disconnected, and then you see stuff like Blizzard, where they have made fantastic games. People loved them for so many years, what, like 15-20 years now, or some getting close to that, right?
You can say 20 years, sure.
And now we're seeing them go just nosediving because of poor decisions at the top. The developers aren't the ones making these decisions. This is the CEOs. This is the backers, the interest, like those people that are supplying the money. They're like, we need more money from you. And they're like, okay, well, I guess we're going to have to screw people over, and we're going to have to spin it to where they like it. And nobody actually bought the spin. So
yeah. No, I think you hit a point, and that's a very interesting point overall, because like as far as like they're spending money and everything else, that the developers are they're not making the decisions. You have other groups, like it doesn't help that you have like what's been going on at the top of the C-level employees at like Activision-Blizzard, and the fact that they're looking to lay people off. That's now a rumor that's going around that on Tuesday.
I didn't want to bring it up, but yeah.
Yeah, the announcement on Tuesday that is expected is that they're going to lay off people. I think one of the numbers I heard thrown around was 100 people. It could be even more, and it's like marketing, it's customers, especially customer service. Customer service has been getting hammered lately with people trying to use the Crossroads program that Blizzard offers, and the whole mess of what has come from Activision getting involved in Blizzard politics. It's messy.
If you're out there and you're like, yeah, fuck you, like that's not what this is about. This is about 100 people who are like legitimately wanting to make good games getting screwed, like getting shafted. It's not the CEOs. They don't care. Yeah, they literally don't care. Well, the only thing they care about is money, and they're like, well, get out because we need our money, and if we get rid of you guys, then we'll keep that money. Which is more
evident by the fact that there was a recent, I forget his name right now, but Activision recently hired a new CFO with a $15 million sign-on bonus. Now, granted, some of that involves stock options based on performance. What is it, 11.3 million of that? That's still a lot of freaking money. And it's still, 3-some million that he got as cash up front.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Bobby Kotick, right?
That sounds right, with an annual salary of $900,000 a year.
Bobby Kotick is now the like president of Blizz, I think, right?
Oh no, that's Blizz. Who is the new? Yeah,
I would say he's over. As far as I understand, he is primarily Activision, seeing primarily the whole Activision thing.
I mean, he's the reason like why Diablo was so bad at launch. Like these are the decisions of him and his team.
No, there's actually another person who's on the development team that a lot of the blame has been placed upon.
Dennis, the person I'm referring to is Dennis Durkin. That's who's been recently signed on to Activision-Blizzard. The individual, as far as on the Blizzard side of things, look, I think it says something that a lot of their core people, the core developers, the people that have been there from the start, they left. And while that's not inherently bad, it says something that they all left within a short amount of time from one another. That really,
and changes are taking place so quickly thereafter.
Exactly. It really says that they were, they saw the painting on, or the writing on the wall. They knew it was coming, and clearly they're the ones that fought it for as long as they did. And since they're not there to fight that battle anymore, it's done.
Well, again, like I said, you see that coming from companies who are like, people love them. I don't want to like name a company, but it's all very dear to us, where the staff was like the reason why the company went so well, and then later on they made too much money, and then like there was like the CEO change, and then the CEO decided to make different changes to the company, and then all the old staff left.
Yep.
They brought in new people, and those new people, they don't really care. They don't have that connection to the website, so they're like, whatever. And now it's not as good.
My lips aren't sealed about some things, Zelfador. It's just it goes back to my thoughts about just how Activision is hurting right now. That is really my main thought, is that a lot of this doesn't come down to Blizzard. Blizzard is fine. I think if Blizzard and Activision hadn't merged, they would be doing fine right now.
Oh, absolutely. Blizzard would be doing just fine.
On Activision's side of things, and they are basically piggybacking off of Blizzard at this point, because if they didn't have Blizzard, really the only IP Activision has left is Call of Duty. It's not even a joke.
Yeah,
like,
well,
but isn't Call of Duty selling really bad?
This last year did pretty well overall. Like, it actually met their expectations, but I mean that doesn't.
What? We're talking about Black Ops 4, right? It met sales expectations for Activision. Their investors were still actually not happy with making like 500 million sales in a month. That's how insane they are.
No, that's
And you wonder why we get screwed when we're the consumer.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, and even like if you talk to other people, like we talked about this during the Bungie divorce episode a few weeks ago, that like with Forsaken and Destiny 2, like the development team thought it was a success and that went incredibly well, but Activision was like, no. And I honestly think that I absolutely agree with what you're saying, that if Blizzard was not owned by Activision, Activision would not exist right now. And of course, because they're the ones that own Blizzard, they're the ones that are trying to influence what worked. Is like, do you suppose that before you guys merged, that they were on top of the game and they were the darling of gaming groups across the board? Like, there was a reason for that. Perhaps instead of trying to influence them, you should let them influence you, because it worked.
I like that you think that Activision will actually take anyone's advice on it.
Oh, of course not. I mean,
that would be hilarious. That would be. I mean, I would love it. I don't want to be, I don't want to be Jonah here mocking Nineveh, but just. Oh my gosh! Yes, I went biblical with my metaphors there, but I don't ever see Activision really shaking things up until Kotick's gone, because I do firmly believe that Activision really is a lot of it because their executives are so static that it's stayed that way. Because the one thing that EA has had in its favor this whole time has been that there's always been a shifting direction. So as a result, there's always been new things. Because like there was the Riccatello era, which had some serious bullshit like $10, but also greenlit things like Mirror's Edge, Dead Space, Saboteur, and so on. And now we're in this new period where they're trying to cut back on DLC and stuff like that, but they're also doing other things that really piss us off. Activision has not changed its tune in over a decade. They are just...
I definitely agree with you on that.
Absolutely.
Same thing. And at some point, something's got to give. At some point, they're going to hurt. And I'm wondering if we're seeing that finally start to happen.
I think we are seeing like maybe the very beginning of that, but I don't know how far that's going to go. All it takes is one good IP or one good release of not even a new IP, just one good release, and they're going to be back to the same thing.
I think one of the things that we have to watch is like, honestly, one of the things you have to watch is just the trend with their investments, right? Like they, ever since November, ever since the blunder with Immortal, it's been nothing but downhill. And like I get that was just a blunder with an announcement, but it's been nothing but downhill. And you can, if you go to like Yahoo Finance, because it's like one of the best things to actually check this with, go to there, put in the Activision Blizzard ticker symbol, and just look at the graph for the last 6 months. You can see the top, and then like even EA's recovered, which that says something. But Activision Blizzard hasn't. So really, if you want to know how they're going to do, watch that. Watch how their investors are throwing money, or if they're not at all. That's what I think.
I mean, I'm pretty sure most of us, if not all of us, agree with that. Like, it's just it just comes down to correct decisions. And like I said, I just think that they're so far removed from the gaming community, gamers. They're so far away from us, like the top people. They're just thinking money and not about making a good product. But investors and stuff tend to forget that if you make a good product, people are going to buy it. You don't have to game people's addictions.
Yep.
You don't have to do that. You can still make a lot of money if you just make a good game.
Yep.
But can you make all the money? Because as we know,
right, you can't make all of the money.
All of the money, every possible dollar possible. Because that
again, like I said,
bite Capcom and Square Enix in the ass just a few years ago.
Yeah, like I said, just make a good product. And I know this is difficult. Make more than one good product. Just saying. I know it's hard.
Whoa.
I know I'm talking crazy.
Whoa.
I know it. I get it.
From what I know from the developer and publisher side, I will say that getting multiple stable IPs that people are actively buying, that is a gnarly prospect. It is a challenging thing for most people.
One at a time. Make one good product.
Activision,
one good product.
I completely agree. They could do whatever. They are sitting on so many IPs that people have been like, let me buy it back. I made it. Please let me buy it back. And they wouldn't even do that. Mm-hmm. They could be making a profit just off of selling IPs. And you know that most of those IPs would just go to like a remaster or a small sequel thing that would only come out on Steam and maybe the Switch, maybe PS4, and would never compete with their sales, but they hoard them. There's so many decisions they make that are just competitive without a real end game besides mine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. What is the one thing that Activision does best? And if it's not making a good game,
making poor decisions,
maybe maybe they should reconsider what's going on. Like any successful business, right at its core, is have something that you do better than everybody else.
Hold on, now that's business 101. Do you think anyone that's a C-level employee remembers freaking business 101? No. I
mean,
the one thing I can say that Activision is marvelous at, their one great thing is they are masters at overcharging for everything. I will grant them that. No matter what decade it is, pretty much after once they stop being developers, they are the masters of somehow overcharging for every friggin' game.
I would say that they're good at purchasing other studios that make good games. I don't know if I would say that they're good at running them into the ground. That's for you to decide. But you know how I feel about it.
Did we suddenly talk about EA? Because I feel like we just shifted back to EA for some reason. Yeah. So
little column A, little column B.
Again, this is all developing. I'm sure the next episode of the Newbcast podcast will be circling back on this layout because it's gonna affect a lot of people, and these are people that I would say that we are more invested in and care about because they're like us. I mean, they're everyday people that you want to see land on their feet and be successful.
Well, they're working insane hours, though.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Insane hours.
Yeah.
To get games out that shouldn't be released yet.
Well, I'm not talking just developers though. I'm talking about like the customer service people or the.
Oh yeah. Definitely. I would hate to be customer service for any of these companies. Mm-hmm. Look, there's a reason why I'm a streamer. I can't.
You are your customer service. Talk about.
I'm not good at it.
Talk about customer service saving face. Elijah, do you want to set the table for the Escapist topic that you wanted to talk about?
Okay. Oh, this is not fun times. In case you missed it. Okay. Context. Back when Gamergate was a thing, and I'm sorry, I hate that I have to even bring GG back up, and if need be, I will just call it GG because, frankly, even saying the name makes my stomach turn at this point. I think a lot of us can agree with that. Escapist tried to be the moderate website, and unfortunately this led to inevitably things actually just turning into a very unpleasant environment. Things got really complicated really fast, and they eventually just gave up on it. And the relaunch where they say they're not going to be political. Then less than 4 days ago, they ran 2 pieces of content, one of which was basically an ambush interview that falsely indicated what they were going to be interviewing the woman at Riot Games. Yes, a woman at Riot Games, the company that's already embroiled with all this controversy about having toxicity towards women and how women don't feel like they can speak out, and basically bum rush ambushing her about this. And she clearly in the video was not okay with this. She did not expect this. She thought they were going to be interviewing her not even about her work at Riot, but about her work in graphic novels. And also, Russ Pitts ran an op-ed about how we now need to talk about ethics in journalism. Can we now talk like as if now can we talk about it? And like one thing I would think, especially this channel, we've talked about ethics in
absolutely
games.
We have.
It's not like the dialogue isn't happening.
Yeah.
It's and I think I understand where he came from initially, which was just like, can we have a sane conversation about this. But the thing is, it's a point of view that's redundant because we already are. We've already weathered that storm, and he ended up in Twitter basically being like, come at me, bro, to every single person who came at him for this. And like big names like Matt Lees were telling him, fuck off, like directly. And then he got into a fight with Zoe Quinn. He actually got into a fucking fight with Zoe.
Yeah.
How this has not been career suicide is beyond me. He finally, they pulled both of these pieces of content. The links are still up, but they both lead to apologies now.
Yep.
Although the apologies don't exactly ring great, which is concerning to me because, like, I've said this before, I loved The Escapist back in the day. I really did. But I don't understand. So I have something posted there now, and now I'm actually worried personally, professionally, by association to this controversy, because I send out emails linking to that article, and now I'm worrying, oh, is that other perspective site I sent a pitch to going to think that I'm going to write something like that instead of what I actually wrote?
So
this is on so many levels inconsiderate to so many different sectors that it's like, it's amazing and actually kind of speaks to just how nice it must be to be on the good side of the major staff there, because there's been no real consequence to the people who made these calls, and it is a fucking mess.
So my thoughts on this quickly is, one, it's something that just needs to lie. It's in the past. It's 5 years ago. Let it die. Let it die its painful, miserable death. Let it go, right? As far as interviews, journalistically speaking, now remember, I went to school for this, so I have a little insight on this. There is nothing wrong. There is absolutely nothing wrong where you go into an interview about a topic about something and you pivot to something else that is related to the person that you're interviewing to. But if it's a fucking disaster, don't print it. You can omit things from your interviews that you have if it doesn't work.
He still is trying to justify it in his apology. The guy behind the
right.
He's like, he loved the rawness. Really?
No,
a woman being terrified for her career is rawness? That's honesty to you? That's not potentially hurting someone's career?
See, and he should have just admitted, like, he asked, it did not get the response that it should have, and he should have just left it alone. But there's nothing wrong with people pivoting on a question, on a topic, right? That is totally legit. And there's some people that are blasting him for, like, well, they should have let her know that he was going to completely pivot. It's like, well, sometimes you do that to get a response, but if it's a bad response, or like if it's not a response that you don't run with it, do not.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the big screw up there. As far as like the whole ethics conversation, we have had it. We don't call it a freaking GG or anything else. We just talk about the actual incidents that have occurred, and we break them down, the separate incidents that have occurred that are issues, and that's how you address the topic. Are there issues in journalism ethics? Yes. Is it related to just gaming? Fuck no. Every type of journalism, every type of gaming, or any type of reporting, whether it's local, whether it's political, whether it's gaming, whether it's movies, whether it's music, there is unethical shit that happens in journalistic procedure, and it's why some of us that studied it don't write. There's a reason we don't work for sites or do that work, because it's not what we learned to do. It's not what we ethically decided we wanted to do, and it's a shit show.
And just, I want to emphasize one last time. The thing that bothers me the most is that there are so many people. I'm not just. If taking myself out of the equation, if I wasn't even in proximity to this, so many people in association who are going to have problems potentially because of this. That seemingly there was no consideration where these professional, it's supposed to be a professionally managed website, and it's being treated like a personal blog.
Well,
you have a personal blog for that. You don't put that on your commercial site that's trying to actually rebuild itself from the ashes of a really bad few years.
Couldn't you just have like an op-ed or something? Like, couldn't you just post it in like opinion, or say, hey, this is an opinion piece, or this is how I feel, instead of
when it's someone so senior of the website, it still is taking like a statement. You need to think about it like a team effort.
Yeah.
Who the leaders, what the leader says is treated as the standard and as the rules.
I think
this is the standard we hold ourselves.
We've seen this in like legitimate journalism recently. I'm not going to bring it up, but I'm just saying like this is a trend.
Yeah. Well, and even in our own industry, we see it too. I mean, look at Jason Schreier. Like anything he says is what we associate anything that he says with the position of Kotaku, right? Like it's, and that's true of any editor. When I was the editor of 01 Gaming and Newbcast, the Newbcast Gaming websites, if I said something that was an opinion, then it was taken at we all thought that, you know, and that was something. I mean, I didn't have to talk about it at the same degree as like a Schreier or any of these larger sites, but it happens no matter your size, because you're the leader.
Yep. Yeah, if something's going to be approved by you, ultimately it's going to fit somewhere in that realm of space of acceptance for that editor.
Yeah, I think we see the same thing.
And as a result,
I think we see the same thing with like Reiner over at Game Informer too. If he says something like it's the opinion of Game Informer.
My thought as somebody who doesn't, write articles on the regular or have a lot of interest in doing so, is that it tells me a lot more about the publication than I worry about the individuals who are writing articles. I think there's a lot of individual control, and an editor has a lot to say in that. Maybe it says something about the editor, but I don't think that another individual within that group is necessarily hurt in the same way. And obviously, like, as somebody who, we catch up all the time, yes, I absolutely understand your concerns, and you want to make sure that that's not a reflection on you individually. I don't think that I, on average, will see it that way. I don't think that most people will, on average, see it that way. It is the few people who are in the industry, and I guess as a matter of career, that is where the interesting part is. But I think for the layperson, it's not going to be a major thought.
Yeah, it's tough because, like, of course, everyone has opinions, right? And one of the things, especially when you are coming up to the ranks of any type of organization like this, you are probably going to have opinion pieces. But as you move up the ranks, you got to understand that opinion carries more weight, and it's really backfired. And some of the people that could be affected by it are now collateral damage. Hopefully, some of those people that are affected by it, as far as like other writers, for instance, when they are pitching to other editors, those other editors can separate that particular person from where they've had work published. But as far as like the conversation is did they screw up? Yeah, there were some poor editorial decisions that were made. I think we all can agree to that. And as far as the conversation, no, let it die. If you want to talk about ethic concerns, talk about specific ones, and have it backed up on something. Like, a game reviewer should not be the MC for a publisher event. That's an ethical concern, but that is an actual issue that you can address and talk to and have the factual reasons why that is an issue. And additionally, when you do have that conversation, the person that's involved, the subject of it, don't fucking harass them.
Consult them. If you're going to, that's the thing that pretty much everyone's response was, look, okay, I understand you wanting to talk about this. Why didn't you bring Quinn in? Why didn't you bring other people in? If your whole thing is about being neutral and balanced, why are you only giving one perspective on a thing that affected hundreds of thousands of people at all levels?
Yeah. Well, and not it's not just Quinn in general. Like the whole thing with Riot too. Like that's a whole mess. I personally know a individual who worked for Riot who left because she felt the overtones that it was not a welcoming place for her, even though that's what was pitched to her. And she didn't want to say anything. I mean, it's the exact same situation, you know? She didn't want to talk about it, but because it was brought up in... It wasn't Schreier. Who was it that brought it up? It was Kotaku that busted that article out. Finally got someone to speak up on it. And she did too, as a result of it. But she still didn't do it, like, publicly. It was just with more friends. It's... I don't know. I think watching the fallout from the Escapists, like, how many times can they be the Phoenix? Do you think? Gotta see what happens with it. And really, that's what it comes down to with a lot of things, right? You just gotta see how it plays out. It sucks, but that's all you can really do.
What decisions do they make? What change do they make?
Yep. Exactly. What did they learn from it?
The response was critical.
Oh, and what did they learn?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm being told that the individual that I'm talking about did make it public. So I'm not going to mention names, but yeah. So to you know, take a left turn and talk about something that's not as deep, but still it would be interesting. Just for a little more fun, is we talk so much about games and what we play and everything every episode. Let me just go round robin here. I'm curious, what exactly do you look for when you go buy a game? What makes you go, I'm going to go ahead and buy this? Dizzy, why don't you start this off and tell us, what is it in games that you look for what is it that makes you pull the trigger and buy a game?
A really shiny box.
So back when it was PlayStation 1, you probably bought all sorts of games, didn't you?
Oh my gosh.
All those cases?
Those jewel cases. That's where it's at.
Mm.
If PlayStation continued with jewel cases, I would buy 3 or 4 times the product. Absolutely.
There's actually people who make jewel case fan art now, so that you can print it out and like make it your thing. It's like, yes, yeah. This is neat.
And I realize that this is a total tangent, but I love it so much. Jewel cases apparently also a lot better for the environment. Like there's no reason that we shouldn't just be using jewel cases, especially for PlayStation and
you guys are making it way easier for this to be my last stream ever.
This is very important.
Seriously though, what do you look for in games?
When I'm looking in games, I'm looking for something that, like, I look for uniqueness. I look for something that I can't necessarily get somewhere else at this point. I like exploring and finding different subjects and things, and when a game has a good twist on an old tried and true concept, I think that's fascinating. Like, in the big battle royale, I guess, Fortnite sits out in front of other games for me because of the building aspect that we spoke to before. It's unique, it's innovative. I think it's extremely interesting and creates this complexity that you don't see in other shooting games in general. And as such, that got my attention far before anything else. I definitely consider it in context with price. Do I think that the price is going to decrease anytime soon? If so, to what? For the amount of time that developers have put into it, is there good value for this? And is there good value for the amount of time that I want to put into it? And I think the other part of that value proposition for me is how long the burn is, and with the burn of that game as I'm playing through, how much enjoyment am I getting, or am I just waiting for certain material?
Mm-hmm.
There are certain games where I really do feel like I'm spending 5-6 hours grinding to get to the piece that I care about, and then another 5-6 hours to that, and I don't have time for that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So something that has some of that not instant gratification, but gets to the point, I think is the most important part. I don't think that there's a lot of...
Welcome.
Exactly. There's not a lot of value in just mindlessly spending time on X thing, Y thing, Z thing. I think it's the single biggest challenge that I have with games on mobile, because the vast majority of them will have you pay money in order to speed it up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a cycle that you never really can break. I'd much rather have something that doesn't tease me by saying, hey, you can do this and get to the actual point of this game if you'll do it now and give me money.
Mm-hmm.
I'd much rather be, here's the money now, here's what I'm going to give you, it's going to be good the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
No, that makes sense. Interesting. The one I'm curious about is Elijah. What do you look for in a game when you?
What does the guy who is excited when he finds an unopened copy of Amazing Spider-Man 2 for Xbox 360 look for when he's shopping?
Yes.
What entices me to a game? Oh, that's a freaking complicated mathematical formula that hasn't been written down. But I'm not going to lie here for a little while. Do you want? And I don't want to sound judgmental in saying this, but one of the best ways for me to know if I was going to be interested in a game between, like, say, 2010 to 2013 was if Game Informer gave it a 6. Pretty much, if they gave it a 6, it was like, okay, I want to check this out. That actually was a really good formula for a while. It was like, okay. All right, Riker didn't like that one. I'm gonna enjoy it. With the sole exception being, oh my gosh, no, he was right about Army of 2 the 40th Day. That was just, oh my gosh. But I don't typically spend more than $20 on a game because I am on a very tight spending budget. I don't like to, even when someone is like offering to get me something, I don't like to ask for big deal things. I often go for stuff that hasn't gotten a ton of coverage, both for professional work, because a lot of my game acquisitions now are based on the channel, and YouTube likes it when I talk about things that no one else has talked about. So that's why a lot of the stuff, like, I got a copy of Knight's Contract in 2018. Most of you don't even know what that game was. And yet I was actually fighting to track it down. So it's like, and yeah, I know Hippo's already having to Google another game title because I'm
not even bothering.
But it's like, there's so many neat games that never get talked about. So it's.
I agree with you with that, though.
Yeah.
I don't have a, like, Madden or anything like that. My PS3 library, like, stuff I have outside right now for me to get into are Deception 4, Resonance of Fate, the original Nier. It's like, I love tracking down the exclusives because you find out things that were secretly great. Like, on the Vita, Unit 13 is fantastic. Yes, I called it Vita. You can glare at me all you want. I'm gonna keep doing it, boy.
Vita!
It is the PlayStation Vita.
Vita.
God has spoken.
But no, seriously, a lot of it has come down to just discounts and stuff like that. Like, realistically, I never would have ended up experiencing the Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City DLC if I had to get it through console, because that would have been like $15 to $20 to acquire all the DLC, whereas on Steam I was able to get the entire shebang for $8? Or actually, I was gifted it, but a lot of that
for a grand total of free.
Yeah, for a grand total of free, and it was greatly appreciated. But yeah, it's just sort of like I tend to. It's very rare for me to pick up something that's ever exciting for everyone day one. It, like, being a friend has done Steam share so that I can experience R2 Make. It is so weird playing it the same day as basically everyone else. Normally, I'd be waiting like close to a year afterwards to experience it all. But actually, you kind of tapped into what that experience is like, Hippo, earlier in the stream, where it's like exploring these things after the fact sometimes means you have a much better experience. Because that is my deal with, say, I'm going to bring it up. This last time I'm bringing it up, Battleborn. Coming into it so late, after all the patches, all the updates, all the fixes, I did not have the experience that some people did at launch where they were giving it harsher reception. I played the beta. I understand the beta state was not great. Apparently, I'm told that by some people that the closed alpha was actually better, that they did some things to the beta that were really screwy. But just coming into that late was awesome. And there's some games where it just has actually been better to be there after everything else has happened. Like Colonial Marines. Colonial Marines. Now there's this whole community set up that's so wonderful, so delightful to be around. And there's all these DLC missions that are actually fun to play with them. And it's just like, this is really nice. And if I had been there day one, it wouldn't have happened. On the other hand, though, the rare times I have been there day one, ironically, I think the happiest I ever was Arkham Origins, because the multiplayer community was just lovely, and I actually got to be one of the admins for the groups there. But that's getting off topic. Sorry, rambling too much. Sorry. But when it comes to hunting, like if it's below $5, I'm likely to impulse buy it. I'm likely to grab it if it's below, especially if it's like $1. It's like, okay, whatever. I'll grab Dark and its DLC. It might be horrible garbage, but it's $1. That's less money wasted than I wasted on that rental for Black Swan, so we're still ahead of the game. And if I do ever actually go over $20, I have to have a really good feeling about a game. Like, the last time that paid off for me was $40 for Deus Ex Human Revolution. And that one was absolutely worth it. That was like one of the best over $30 purchases ever. It just feels like I literally finished the game at the end of the year. It was perfect. It was what you want a game experience to be like. But normally what I advocate is make a large Steam wish list. Mine has like 500 things on it. And I filter it to go by discount and to go by how low the price is. Whatever is on the lowest, I look through it. If something looks neat, okay, go right. I don't just go by the problem with that. I like even.
The only reason why I knew that there was a sale for the Lunar New Year was because I got a million emails from Steam going, hey, this game is on sale. You want this game? Hey, this game is on sale. Hey,
yeah,
this game is on sale. I'm like, I freaking know. There's like 50 games on sale. Leave me alone.
But you told me you liked this one. You told me you wanted it.
Hey, it's on your wish list.
Worse.
We got the stuff. You got the money.
Your email, it also makes your little app thing blink in the Windows taskbar. It's like, hey, that one game on your wish list is on sale. It's like, yeah, God, is it actually below $20? Not yet. Then shut up.
That'd be cool if you could like change the percentage of how much a game is on sale before you get a notification. That'd be great if that was built into Steam.
Yeah, I will.
Or any other developers, Epic.
You could have a third-party tool that's like, hey, if this game is below $5, I will pick it up. And tell me how much developers would like that to be like, you know what? I want this quantity. I know I'm going to get this number of sales from people who have already said, I will buy it at this price.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it would be perfect middleware, and I think it would be a wonderful option. It would be a great way to gauge interest and also express to developers what price point their next games should be. It's a wonderful thing that just isn't there by default, and just, yeah, it's a thing. But I don't think you should ever pre-order anything. Pre-ordering always bites you in the ass. It'll be honest here, it pretty much always does. Even if you love the game, it will be better, and it will have more content for less of that price later down the road. And above all else, just, if it's cheap and it's something that you haven't originally thought about experiencing, get it, and at least try it for like an hour. There's a couple of different things in my library where it's like, yeah, this is okay, but I haven't really gone back to it because I got my fill of it. I'm not obsessed with finishing everything in my Steam library because, let's face it, that's impossible. But actually trying some new things, that's how we used to do it as kids. Think about it. So many of us as kids, we would just kind of blindly get a game and try it. Now, we're at the point in time where doing that isn't nearly as financially dangerous if we're wise about it. And we can experience new things, which is why I now have a copy of Metal Gear Survive, even though everyone cringes the moment I say that, because it was really cheap. And I've had 2 people tell me that I would actually really like it, so we're going to find out. Maybe they were full of shit.
When it comes to Metal Gear Survive, I would have to say that I have not seen any gameplay of it or anything like that. But if it's even remotely like Phantom Pain, I know a lot of people didn't like it because it was like an open world. It wasn't like a normal Metal Gear Solid game. And to be fair, they do have their points, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Phantom Pain. The only reason why people are like, screw that is Survive is because Kojima's not on it, and I
But here's the irony.
definitely feel that.
Apparently, Kojima was actually into it, because here's the thing, people. Games don't just spontaneously come out of nowhere. That had to have been in pre-production before release.
No.
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It's like putting instant.
Yeah, so, all the outrage that, this is Konami's first real attempt at making a game of Metal Gear about Kojima. More like, no, this was the thing they had sitting around that needed to get released. And frankly, we're lucky that they released it, because they otherwise might have passed up on it. They did some shitty things with it, like making multiple profiles and stuff be microtransaction-y centric, but regardless, it's like, this thing probably would have come out either way. It's just a matter of the tone of what all was going on there. And a lot of people who I've seen bash it are like, they play for like 3 hours and they don't do it properly. People I've talked to who have put like 15 or more hours into it are like, yeah, you can't actually play it that way. You would lose the game. So it's another situation of, as Hippo put it, gamer being very
gamers
actually understanding
gamers unite, gamers.
So with that impression in mind, then, Hippo, what is it about a game that you look for before purchasing?
Personally, I like there's two different types of games, right? One game is it going to stream well, because primarily I play games on stream, and is it going to be a time sink, like in a good way? Am I going to enjoy exploring in the game? Like, is there exploration? Is there a solid story? It doesn't have to be exploration. Like Hellblade was freaking fantastic, and there was like only a little bit of exploration in it. It depends on what I'm looking for. If it's a story game, it needs to be a good story. It can't overstay its welcome. It needs to be like, if you're gonna, I like to stream games that have consistent progress, because I think that's what people enjoy watching. If you get stuck on something, people kind of just go off and they do their own thing. But if you have like a story game that you have progression, you don't get stuck for too long in a certain place, that's perfect for a streaming game, in my opinion. For non-streaming game, can I sink a lot of hours into it doing something like exploration? That's why I liked Minecraft. That's why I like Elite Dangerous. I can go out. There's a huge, vast world that I can go explore, things that people have never seen before. What's the price point? If the price point is good, I'm on board. I was talking with Lovelust about pre-ordering and season passes. And here's the thing. We were talking about the what's it called? The beta game that I just talked about. My brain is blanking. The Division 2, sorry. The Division 2 beta, where we have the game, we like the game, but we don't really want to pre-order, and we definitely are like not really on board with the season pass, because it's like $25 more or $20 more, and also it's like, we don't know what's coming for this game. It could be good, it could be bad. It's a gamble, and yeah, it's only like $25, but it's like, I could use that for an indie game. Also, for streaming game, if you guys are from my channel, you'll know, is it mundane tasks? Because if it is a mundane task, I will play it. We got House Flipper,
I'm waiting for
that kind of game.
I'm waiting for you to do Bus Simulator again. I really am.
Bus Simulator was great. There was Tour Bus Simulator that I almost picked up. There's a game called,
there's more than one. Interesting.
There's a game called Train Station Cleaner or something to that effect. Definitely interested. That's coming out. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna play that.
There's actually a train simulated game that's supposed to be in Siberia. That looks like your cup of tea.
Ooh.
A train simulator. I'm not a fan of the train simulator. I can understand why it'd be interesting to play. However,
you could have been in Chicago a couple of weeks ago, though.
Simulation games are my thing. If it's like Euro Truck, I'm down. I'm super down for that. If it's driving, if it's exploring, if it's cleaning something like a physical, like it's cathartic to me to play a game like Viscera Cleanup Detail, where it's filthy and I clean it up and it looks nice. That's my thing.
I want you to understand, Hippo, because I realize I've seen your face the many times describe all the games I play. Exact mutual experience when you say these things about simulator games. I don't know how. I am glad that you enjoy them, but fucking hell, I don't know how.
I like them because I love them. I love them on stream because they're very much a podcast type game where I'm doing something. I am playing a game. There is there's visual progress being made, but also I get to hang out with my community and I get to just hang out and talk and ask people how their day was and ask them about their lives and learn about people. That's why I stream. I do it for community, and that's why the game to me is more of a secondary. So I try to really pay attention to chat and talk with them. So that's why I like the simulator type games, because especially while driving, reading is a great idea.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a minute, right? Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, Michelle, drunk driving and reading text. Let's talk about that.
And always remember, drip your snake carefully driving.
Yes, drip your snake carefully, chat.
Wow.
And Michelle is banned.
My turn, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Who's that person on the corner of the stream? I have no idea.
No idea. Right. There's a few different things that I look for. One of the things I look for in games is what kind of community is involved with it, right? Because I play a lot of online games that have community involved with it. What does it look like? I play a good chunk of MMOs. There's community. I guess I keep going back to community because I think of the Guild Wars community. I think of the Elite community. I think of you know.
Oh man, Elite community is so good.
They're amazing. They are absolutely amazing, and that helped a lot with my playing of the game.
Definitely.
It also I play genres that are sometimes I do simulation games. I mean I've done things from Microsoft Flight Sim to I've got House Flipper and Euro Truck to I've got that stuff which I enjoy because I like the ability to kind of zone out in it a bit. Like you can keep doing it, you can just kind of zone out if you're not unless you're streaming, of course. Even if you're streaming, then it's exactly what Hippo was saying. Like the ability to be able to communicate with your community. The other thing I like is games that respect your time.
Yes, that don't do what Dizza was talking about. Persona 5.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yes. I also it's FYI, there's a website called How Long to Beat.
Yeah, I use that all the time.
Yeah, you want to consult that with a lot of things because there's even some really bad ones that I've suffered through when I've seen that it's only 6 hours long versus something like Persona 5.
Right.
Hey, you know what? Lesson learned, guys. Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Have you?
So
I don't think so. I think he's still playing some Final Fantasy. How many streams has it been? How many hours?
I'd say it's not as bad as Persona 5.
No, it's not as bad. I definitely agree.
But I have no problem sinking time into it if it respects how my progression through the story, right? Yeah. If it does that, then I'm okay with it. It's part of the reason that for MMOs I do look at Guild Wars because I feel like overall they respect their players' time quite a bit, and they've taken strides from where they launched to where they are now to respect that. Some of the dailies and whatnot took a lot longer to do than they do now. The story, to be able to progress to the story, there weren't as many arbitrary things that you had to complete in order to finish a chapter in the story. I think one of the big things is how well does it respect my time? Does it do a good job of it?
Mm-hmm.
So that would be, one of the things I would say. Additionally, I would probably say value. I will never ever in my life buy a Madden game for $60. That is not worth its value.
It's not, I would say the value because that's what you just got brought up in the chat. It's not simply about raw hours. That's a problem. And I mean, I understand. I'm one of those people who was really annoyed about games getting so short. But the difference is, if it's short but really replayable, then it's fine. I think that that's a good thing. Or if it's a really memorable experience, because like Hellblade commands getting $30 for it for most places. It for a while held that price really firmly, just because people would buy it at that price, and it was, it actually got a physical release where a lot of people who already own the game bought it again. I still want a physical copy at some point because I want to be able to hold that in my hand. But not every game does that, and there's a question of what you're getting out of the experience. Because if you are paying $60, you're getting a 6-hour game that doesn't really stick with you. It doesn't really offer that much, and there's not much reason to go back to it again. That's not really a great time investment. It hits you a lot more than it would, say, with like a crappier movie, because like, say, if you watched Olympus and London Has Fallen, that probably put you back like maybe $8 to really see that, unless you actively went out to the theater premiere day for each of those things. Whereas games can suck up a lot more money easily. It's one of the problems, and it needs to be something that you really can get something out of, which unfortunately is a lot harder to figure out, but thankfully you at least can look up Let's Plays and stuff now.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's why I like the Hunter Call the Wild too. Like, I up until recently completely ignored the story, but I just went through a story in the Savannah park, which was really cool. It was like a whole ghost story and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it. It's not the best written story in the world. It's not, but it was good enough to where it was like, oh, whoa, I accidentally stumbled on the main quest, and I was like, oh, I'll just do it instead of just like wandering around. It like brings you to different places in the level, and there's a reason to go there, and there's like a whole narrative of like keeping poachers from poaching and all that stuff. It was really interesting, and I was actually really amazed at the ghost story. Like, I thought it was really good. I was not expecting that, but I was like just so taken aback from, I'm just having fun with my friend, and he had to go to sleep. He had to get up in the morning to go to work, and I kept playing, and then I was like, oh, here's a story. Let's do it. And then it just kept progressing into a creepier and creepier story. It was very good for not knowing what I was getting myself into, but like I said, it's not the best thing, but it was good. I was not expecting it, and so that's what I enjoyed. It could have done better. They could have written it better. They could have put the story in a different way. I don't know. It was good. I was shocked, and very pleasantly shocked. So
fair enough. Yeah, I mean, with that value overall, talking about that, like, let's take Ace Combat for example, right? I talked about the replayability because it has a replayability that I enjoy and this gameplay that I enjoy, and I can put a lot of hours into it. At that point, if you were to say this game is going to be $50, we'll just say $50, right? It was a small sale. Yeah, I'll pull the trigger on that. I felt the same way about Just Cause. I enjoyed the Just Cause series quite a bit with the exploration and just the nonsense that goes along with it. If you go look at my Steam profile, I have a lot of hours in Just Cause 2. Like, I think Elijah
Just Cause 3 was great.
Yeah, Just Cause 3 was great too. Even when I beat Hippo's record, it was great.
I mean, I beat yours. I mean, I kept beating yours, and then I kicked it out of the park. Is that how it works? Kicking it out of the park?
Sure.
Sports.
Yeah,
I'm sure that's how
you got a field goal.
Kicked it out of the field goal.
Oh my god. But like, Elijah, were you there? Like, I got so crazy with like what I could do. I actually threaded the bridge with that helicopter.
I was there. Yes, I remember. I was one of the people cheering in the chat because it's like, that was a miracle. You get a few miracles in life, and that was one of them, and it was beautiful.
Right? It was one of those things where like it was just such nonsense, but I was having so much fun doing it. Like that type of ability to sink time into it too. Like that's another one that respects your time with what you do and how you accomplish it. And I have no problem sinking that time into it. I'll pull triggers on that. But I like a game where I won't even, as far as like respecting time, like you could give me Persona 5 and I won't touch it. I won't.
Dizza, are you okay, buddy? Are you? Are we?
Okay?
Are dulcet tones putting you to sleep, my friend?
I'm hurt and responding to the chat, and mostly hurt because it was worth it. Okay, at least 100 of those 140 hours were good times.
We all hung out, we all stared, we all cringed, we all hoped that things would turn out okay.
But
I would also like to offer that we're talking a lot about bigger experiences, but there's also sometimes smaller ones that have paid off. One of the most recent hits being Subsurface Circular by the guy who made Thomas Was Alone. It can be finished in like an hour. It's like $10. Almost no
I
one
like that.
returns it
Yep.
because everybody loves it. It just was really good, and I like that we're seeing some smaller projects that command that sort of thing. It's something you see on itch.io all the time, but it's now becoming a bit more mainstream and okay for something to not be humongous. I mean, that's actually part of the reason why I have nearly platinumed The Force Unleashed 2. I have one achievement left to get in it, and the only reason that is the case is because it only takes like 3 hours to get through the core thing every single time, and it actually made pursuing all those side goals just really enriching in that particular experience. It was a lot more feasible because if you're not staring at Assassin's Creed's massive list of things to do that keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
I like that though. I like that.
It can be fun. It can be fun, but there's so many games now that do that to you that are just like, here's everything you need to do, and it's like,
you know,
you don't have to do all that,
but you don't have to. Yeah,
you feel compelled to.
There's the completionist, and some people like I can go into some games and have to complete everything, and there are other games where I am totally cool skipping all of the extra material. Just give me the plot, what's going on. It's nice to have the option when it's there, and maybe that's one of those places where it's time versus value, where you get that flexibility of being like, well, this is how much I value this. I think that this is an interesting side plot that I don't need to pay a bunch of attention to. Maybe I'm just going to go read up on this.
Mm-hmm.
There was 2 games came to mind. I can't remember the Vanishing of Ethan Carter.
Mm-hmm.
That was really weird and creepy and fun. I didn't expect to like it. I just went into it not knowing anything about it, and it's a walking simulator until the very end.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also Abzu, there's Journey, these games that can be completed within like an hour, 2, 3, but they're like an experience, and I like those, and I like to do those on stream because not only am I getting to enjoy it, I'm getting to enjoy it with a bunch of my friends, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
I hear you. So those are the big things. Oh, the last thing that will do it is how my Steam library grew as much as it did. It's like, oh, that's 99 cents on Steam. Bought. It used to be
pretty feasible.
Well, especially when it was something that was $60 or $30 at one time, and it's 90% off. Yeah, I'll jump on that. I mean, I think that's how I ended up with Civ 5 and all its DLC. I think
the new Civ game's coming out.
Oh yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on that one.
Yeah. Would you call it the workshop effect? The 90% off? I don't know. You're right.
This Civ is gonna be like the other Civs. You don't pick it up until at least the first DLC, but generally speaking, you wait for like the 4th.
Yeah.
And that's when you pick it up.
Because then you can get it all bundled.
We'll see. I'll watch some like really big partners get a copy of it for free, and then we'll see. We'll go from there. Probably won't be picking it up.
Shade.
Oh, and if I can,
That's not shade. That's just like the game's probably not going to be worth buying until it's got a few DLCs out.
The only time I've spent more on it, I see you, Elijah, but let me just say this quick. The only time I've spent more on it is like if there's a charity involved and whatnot. I've bought in some games with more money involved. If there's if it's a series that I appreciate and the proceeds go to charity, I might go ahead and pull the trigger on that too, because I get a game and it's for a good cause.
I bought 2 really big bundles of games. It was on Green Man Gaming. They had a $1 for one game, and it was like a $50 or a 50 game bundle, and there were like multiple bundles, so I just picked up 2 of them because most of the money went to charity, and I was like, well, I could just do a bunch of giveaways, so I'm gonna do that. So I bought 100 games, and then I was just really happy that a lot of that money went to charity.
Yeah. Yes, Elijah?
I just want to add really quick, because this is something I forgot to mention, is not simply because, like, this is one thing that Hippo and I share, is having some skepticism in regards to certain critics and stuff like that, but also, yes, do not listen to the fanboys.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Any fanboy.
No.
Because sometimes the best game in the series is the one they tell you that sucks.
Yep.
There's a specific fanboy that I know. He's a friend, but he's a hardcore fanboy of Nintendo and the Switch. And whenever he says something, I just take it with a grain of salt, because I know that they can do no wrong in his eyes. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't take your advice, because I know how biased you are towards that company and what they're doing. And while I appreciate your passion for it, I can't make a solid decision off of what you say, because you're just so hardcore into it.
Yep.
One of the most recent examples I can think of where I'm so glad I didn't listen to people was Gears of War Judgment. I can't stand almost any Gears of War game. Judgment was fantastic. It actually made me appreciate the series to an extent. And like, there's so many games like that now that are dirt cheap, that all they did was that they did not please the fanboys. That's all that some of these games did. They're perfectly fine games, and sometimes even critics acknowledge that. So like, there's a lot of games that got pushed to the wayside that you can totally enjoy. There's so many Syndicates and Gears of War Judgments and Remember Me's that are deserving of your time.
Agreed. So I think with that, guys, we made it to the end of the show. But before we go, let's just go ahead and shill our channels and talk about what's coming up and why people should come and watch us. And we'll start with Elijah. What do you got coming up on your channel?
Okay, lots of licensed tie-in stuff, actually. That is going to be interesting. Talking about some of the Amazing Spider-Man stuff, the surprisingly clever Captain America Super Soldier, and a lot of stuff in that department. I'm currently already starting to work on the October lineup, so there's going to be some interesting things. And finally, the Silent Hill content is going to start coming out, and I am already grabbing my flame retardant pants for that, because I already know one video is going to make people very, very angry with me, but I try to explain myself as calmly and politely as possible. I try so hard. But in general, it's just next Friday we should be streaming, and there's some stuff on the horizon that I can't talk about as much yet, but that could be very exciting. So that's cool. And expect some beta reviews in the future. As soon as I get an HD.
I'm sorry, what was that?
The rest of this set up.
Beta reviews?
Some beta reviews.
I keep on hearing PlayStation Fred, and I don't understand why.
Frida. She is my Frida. She is my gal pal. She is here to help me achieve what I need to achieve. And I'm very excited, because that will be fun. And also, more Connect stuff is coming. I'm going to be making sure of that. And So I'm actually kind of excited
And-
to try out Fable the Journey.
So where can we find you?
You can find me on The Unabridged Gamer at YouTube, which just popped up in the chat. I also am on here as The Unabridged Gamer for Twitch, and now my Twitter handle has been updated to Unabridged Gamer on there as well. The had to be cut off. Yeah.
Unified branding. Look at that.
What? But yes, it's going to be lots of obscure and dead games are going to be talked about and streamed, and at some point in the near future, Recore and Metal Gear Survive are coming to my Twitch.
Nice.
It's gonna be fun.
Excellent.
So many deserts. Yeah, I'm gonna be the perfect sleep aid for you, Dizza.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Thanks. Exactly what I needed.
I guess with that said, then, Dizza, what do you have coming up on your channel?
Well, we will be wrapping up Final Fantasy VIII, which everyone is very happy.
I don't know if you will.
We have to defeat Omega. That's a rule. We're also not going to take advantage of at least one or two of the most easily abusable ways to defeat Omega Weapon. So it's actually going to be a tough fight. I don't know how it's going to turn out. There will be a lot of failure and laughs on the way, which will be great. And then after that, I believe we have ready to go the Mass Effect series, which I have not played. Period.
Oh.
End of statement.
Blind play.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Nice.
So-
You're in for a treat. The first one, maybe not so much. The second one, definitely. Third one.
I'm glad to know
It's
that I'm
fun.
getting into better and better, and that I'm going to have another 140 hours of gameplay that, for some reason, you're happy about.
No, it's actually good.
Well, it's a trilogy. That helps.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's broken up into
I
different
mean-
games.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
have crafting me for advice. I mean,
Yep.
you got some
It's
Bioware
okay.
nerds.
Here, it's actually a good game.
There you go. And
Ouch.
where can we find you, Dizza?
You can find me on the entire internet as DizzaG pretty much everywhere. You will especially find me on Twitch and on Twitter, where I will announce. And periodically, I do play things that aren't super long RPGs, I swear. You will also
don't believe
find
you.
those random pieces of info. Slay the Spire is amazing. I'm going to play Slay the Spire next time just for you. Just for
Just
you.
for me. I do like me some Splay the Splire.
Display the Splire.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Hippo, what do you have coming up on your channel, and where can we find you?
Well, this week we're gonna have more Astroneer, Elite Dangerous. I'm like 2 waypoints behind the Distant Worlds 2 fleet, which is almost 13,000 people strong. We're gonna definitely check out Foundations again. Definitely Breath of the Wild, and Metro Exodus comes out on Friday. So might not have a meme day. We might have a Metro Exodus day. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, and then you can find me at Hippononymous on all the things. But if you're like, how the hell do you spell hippo? Hippononymous? What? Just do hippo.wtf. It'll take you to my website. You'll find all of the contact information there.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. And then for myself, we will be doing more Elite Dangerous. We'll be doing more core mining. I think I figured out a little bit more core mining. We're going to experiment and figure that out and try to make some money, because that is awesome. That'll be coming up in NetPython, and we're going to try to fill that out a little bit better. I'll get Guild Wars 2 on Wednesday. We'll do Fractals. We'll go back and open all those envelopes. Hope to make some money off that. And just do open world whatever on there. And I might just come to the library and see if there's another game to try out, because I've got a few of those I could do as well. You're already on my channel, so you know where to find me here, but it's Miss Michelle Jean on every other platform, so I'm also pretty easy to find. That being said, for the Unabridged Gamer, Hippononymous, and DizzaG, my name has been Miss Michelle Jean. This has been the Newbcast Podcast. Thank you so much for watching, and have yourself a great night.
Take care, guys.
Cold out.